Yeah. We're going to be playing some Jackbox.
Get your phones out. Get your phones ready. That'd be a perfect little GIF.
Hell yeah, it should. Welcome to the show. What is up, y'all?
Hey.
It is Thursday night. You're hanging out with Adam Ryan on the Hangout.
You're on the Hangout. We're hanging out. It's gonna be a fun show. We have lots of. Fun
It's always
things
the best show, and and we're here for you with some really great content, and I'm stoked.
It's things that we've been working on before. We're working on the project. We're learning new things. We want to teach other people new things. Like we're going to be recording stuff or other stuff while we're in the show. We have stuff 3D printing. Like it's a madhouse.
I know. It's like the setup for the dang show itself takes forever. So if you're with us for the Jackbox TV, we're going to start the show off with some Jackbox. Yeah. But what we're going to do before we get into that is let's just take a rundown of the show.
Yeah.
Last time we ended with Jackbox and everyone was hanging out for it. We're gonna start today with Jackbox.
A themed Jackbox.
Yeah.
While we
so it's not always your mom or somebody taking a dump on somebody, because that
or
seems,
the world blowing up or somebody throwing up. That's my.
which could be in the theme, to be honest with you.
Honestly, yeah, you're right.
But then we're gonna go through a couple things. There's some good action in the Discord, so we're gonna visit the Discord of Double Drop Down, pull out some articles, talk about that.
Yep.
Ryan is gonna talk about.
So there's like a fun little video out of Google DeepMind that is basically talking about how they are training robots with. Just different ways of training them to make them so that they're great at playing this little soccer game, which I found to be very cute.
We have an update to OBS that's coming. Before we started the show, they're like, do you want to update to this? This isn't this special update, so we're going to go investigate what the heck that means.
Yeah, it seemed like a fun thing, a fun new tech Twitch thing to do.
I got a random Game Boy cart from China. We're going to play it on the show.
Yeah, like
I don't know if it even has a game, but we're going to do it live on the show tonight, so we're going to play it on the analog. That would be fun.
Get Adam's analog some malware.
Yeah, I can see that happening. It explodes it. We got we're gonna record a tutorial live on the show for a different Discord channel we got tonight. Of course, we're gonna talk about the game. We got some really in-depth story Ryan's working on. We're gonna tease you out, and you're gonna see some of his art very soon. And what was this other thing you did?
So we also went to and toured 291, a distillery in Colorado Springs, which I thought was like a very cool, lots of interesting backgrounds to take pictures of for our game, which has a whole brewery in the back of it, which is slightly different than a distillery, but still cool.
So we love hanging out with you tonight. So let's start the hangout with some Jackbox. All right, we're going to be playing some TKO tonight, y'all, to start us out. So TKO 2, hopefully you can hear us pretty well. I mean, that's pretty decent on there. There's a cute little cat. We said we're going to theme this one tonight.
Yeah. Well, because like I get bored of drawing the same things because they don't prompt you with something. So we were going to say we're going to talk about during TKO, we're going to talk about a non-spoilery discussion of the new Fallout series that is out on Amazon Prime. And we thought, hey, let's theme tonight's TKO to phrases and drawings around Fallout.
So, if you don't know Fallout and you've never played Fallout, it's a post-apocalyptic world. So just make sure even if you don't know it, you're doing post-apocalyptic kind of things.
Exactly.
And, what would it have been like if you were in a vault and trying to hide from some post-apocalyptic things? Or what would happen on the apocalypse? We are not going to spoil tonight.
Because I haven't seen it all. Adam has. I'm like 5 episodes in, so I still have 3 left.
It's a no spoiler.
No spoilery hangout talk
okay.
with buds.
All right, is everyone ready for this? If you're with us tonight, go to Jackbox TV, Fallout theme, TKO.
Okay, do we have the room code?
We're gonna reveal that. We needed to set the stage for what the theme was.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, there we go. RQNK, if you want to join in tonight. Okay, we're in there. Are you in there with us? Fallout theme tonight. Everyone join in. We're going to give everyone just a minute to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Ether in there. Who do I want to be tonight?
I was going to say.
Look at this guy.
Oh, you stole him right out from under me.
Yeah. All right, we're going to give everyone just a little bit of time here just to get in. If you're joining, you take out your phone. Oh, we got Mike Azul in there.
Azul.
This is awesome. Give everyone just a couple more minutes here. So we're drinking old fashions tonight.
Old fashions.
Sure, that's been the new drinks that we've been going for. So
totally.
Thanks for hanging out with us all.
Yeah.
So we got our regulars in the show playing some TKO 2. What do you think? Fallout?
Yeah.
Who's in for this?
I know. Yeah. So Adam, I would
it.
say you maybe you're a pretty big Fallout fan.
Yeah.
Of the video game, right?
Hell yeah.
You played quite a bit of 4.
Yes, I
Did
have.
you play anything before 4?
New Vegas?
You played New Vegas.
I didn't play it all, but I played enough of it to
Yep.
enjoy what New Vegas had to offer.
Did you play any of 76?
I played a little bit, and they gave a little bit of stuff. They were actually showing it lately. So,
Yeah.
all right, we got the main 4 of the
Main
Hangout
4.
in there. We got 5 or 6 of us in the stream tonight. If we're ready to play, we're going for it. Fallout themed, everyone.
Fallout themed. You can join if you're joining in late. You can join in on the.
Welcome back.
On the
As the
voting.
audience.
Shirt Island. I am the new tournament mistress, and under my watch, the time of fashion combat has returned.
Okay, remember we're doing Fallout themed.
Man, now I'm starting to think what's Fallout-y.
You're like, what is Fallout themed?
Warriors, you're
Even
going
the
to make
prompt
3
should be Fallout.
drawings for me.
Yeah.
So get busy using your device to create them. Begin.
Oh, we're doing drawings. Okay.
Draw
okay.
anything at all. Need some inspiration? Hit the suggestion button.
When you can do 3 of them.
You're doing 3 drawings in total, so pace yourself. Time's halfway up to finish your first drawing.
Oh man, I'm doing bad job. Oh, I know one that I'm gonna do. This looks so bad.
Fallout draw not going good.
Oh my god, no. This is terrible. Cause I totally forgot what it looked like. In my mind, I was like, I know exactly what I'm about to draw. Not effed it up. 13 seconds, y'all.
10 more seconds.
I'm just gonna apologize right now for this one. Okay. Dang, Heather's got 3 of them already out of there.
If you haven't started your second drawing,
I'm
go
doing it.
for
I'm gonna do it. Oh, I know one.
One more drawing to go.
I'm so bad at this. I need like a pen.
Yeah. Or I need like 10 more minutes.
Well, yeah, for people like yourself that.
You're halfway through your time.
Okay. So bad. Do we have to do? Oh wait, then we have one more after this. Okay, I gotcha.
Ten seconds. If you haven't started your third drawing, do it now.
Oh, damn it. I thought that was the end. I would have worked on it more.
Oh, Ryan didn't know. This is.
I have 80 seconds left.
Yeah, you
oh,
do.
man. I should have looked up. I just thought that was it. It sucks you
This
can't.
is your last drawing. Don't hold back.
Can't go back, huh?
Can't go back. You can't be like, oh, I got time, right? Tap to make it happen, says my phone. I don't know what exactly I'm making happen here.
See in the background, these things are like happening, so you can like do little mini games.
I don't know what the.
Oh, there's no planes on it. I don't think
Yeah.
you're doing it yet.
Your time is halfway up.
Well. Let's just say my drawings would have been amazing if I had had the full time. That's what I'm going to say my excuse is.
Oh, God. All right. Put us out of our misery of waiting for my shitty drawings.
Slogan writing time. I'd like it.
Okay, Fallout themed.
Begin writing now. Any collection of words that makes you feel alive. And ask for a suggestion if you want. We've all done it. Just start typing and see what happens. You're halfway through your time. Ten seconds, wrap it up.
Oh, I got one
What
right
makes
in
a great shirt?
time.
You do, apparently.
Just a
Check out
curse
the
word with an
drawings and
exclamation
slogans on
point.
your device and smash two together to make a garment that will dominate the battlefield. Begin now. You'll notice you can pick the garment and slogan style that really speaks to you. The tournament mistress loves options.
Nice.
Oh, I should have changed the color. Okay, that's fine.
30 seconds left. Clothing battle, and now I shall have it.
I like this. I like having a theme with it. We just have to get an approachable theme. I'm like,
It's too hard. The Fallout was too hard.
oh,
I like everyone went sleeveless tank top. It was always
it's a good one. Oh man, this is a good one. But
where's my nose?
man, I like that
Good.
one. Oh,
It's like two little Fallout guys. I love that.
that's a good one.
All right. Oh,
Ooh.
see, even split. Love it.
A tie? Not today. It goes to the hoodie.
Wait,
Oh, it goes to the hoodie. It just picks.
Hoodie takes it.
I want that little one. Where's my nose? That ghoul looks good.
Yeah. Nice.
Get it, tank top.
Can you get them in tank tops and hoodies?
I
and
think you
stuff
can.
now?
Hello, tournament
interesting.
winner.
Yeah.
Ready for more?
Where's my
Good,
nose?
because it's happening.
Oops. Where's my nose?
I want one more drawing, but I'm giving you a choice. You can start with a blank canvas or change a drawing we already have. Check out your options and choose now.
Okay. You can change one of them. This is our Fallout themes TKO if you're out there. Oh man, somebody drew out what I was going to try to draw.
Oh, mine won't go anywhere.
You already selected one. Oh.
What?
Just get out and come back in. Maybe.
Okay, I'm back.
Looks like you've all chosen. Now get to work.
Oh shoot. Gotta back out of that.
you're not the best artist, remember, the eraser's your friend.
I don't think Eraser's going to make me any better of an artist.
I can tell. There's some real magic happening.
All right, now I can play. Let's see here.
Seconds left.
Yeah, the little airplanes are supposed to fly when you're done. I can't get it to fly.
Ten seconds left.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go.
It just turns it in for you, doesn't it?
I think in this version it does.
Now
On the
for
other
a few
one it
more
didn't.
slogans, at least 4. Start
Okay.
writing now. The suggestion button is still there if you need it, kids. Be aware, your time is halfway up. Ten more seconds. You've got a garment to make and some new drawings and slogans to help you do it. Go!
Okay, so what did you think of Fallout?
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Especially
Remember,
that part
you
where the bomb
control
killed
the garment
everyone.
and slogans.
You're like so
Make it
funny.
count.
We could talk about it in just a second, but yeah, no,
Yeah, sorry.
You're good. Gotta concentrate.
Okay.
The clothing is in. The battlefield calls.
Mike Azul, did you watch any of it yet? Or are you still waiting?
Tournament begin.
I think this is it. Oh, Paul.
Now.
That's pretty good. The tank top versus the hoodie.
Oh,
Yeah,
he is
see,
watching. Okay, good.
I'm in the exact same. I'm 5 in with 3 left.
So that's a stim pack if you're not familiar. Oh, it's a split.
Split.
A tie? Not this time. It's the tank top.
Good job, tank top. Is that like a thumbs up coming in from the side there?
Yes, it is.
You're like, it's like reaching in from the side. It's good.
Tank top battle, man.
Tank top battle. I feel like you gotta choose tank top is like the trashiest version, and when you have a trash slogan and I feel like they just.
I like how it's like which.
Yeah,
which
which mushroom cloud do you like the best?
It's like which your thumb or mine.
Nice. That's a good one.
A worthy victor.
Dang, good job.
I've seen enough.
I feel like that's the true winner. The true winner is if you get your stuff on each one of them.
Yeah, but you have to have somebody else pick it because it's not good
Final
unless
round,
it's picked.
the champs from both rounds duke it out to see who takes it all.
Oh man.
Vote for your favorite and
Okay.
keep on voting until the power bar. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, I feel like this is now I just feel bad. I'm like,
That was good. Got achievements.
wow. Won the final round in a
Presenting
tank top.
your Champion!
That's a good one.
That's a great one.
That's a good one.
Hell yeah.
The world will know of
See?
this garment.
Art-
Not for
art and
me.
slogan.
The newsletter
I really
couple.
love that shirt. It looks good.
Where's my
everyone.
nose? I told you I bought one, right, for Trenton?
You did.
It's good.
Hell yeah,
It's held
guys.
up.
Okay, so starting the night on the Hangout with a fun little thing. That was great. Good
Yeah.
job, Mike Azul.
Totally. Great job. Best
All right.
artist, Trienemy.
Oh, you're the best. Oh, most drawings used.
Most drawings used.
Need it in neon lights? Yeah, you do. I used to
And
most
add a best
slogans.
writer.
That's great. Hey, thanks for joining us on the TKO. I got to swap up the thing. If you just joined us, we are starting the night out. But this is a talk show. It's the Hangout with Adam and Ryan. So we're going to come back over to that. So thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to jump right into it. So that was good job. We're going to do more of those starting shows probably as we go on.
Yeah.
We're not going to do any tonight, I don't think. Maybe if we have some time at the end, we'll do another one if you're hanging out with us still. But we're going to theme it because then otherwise we're not getting moms, poops, and people throwing up.
Too many of the same prompts if you don't theme it. So I think that was a good. I think people were in on the theme, which is great.
Yeah, which is good. And you would probably have been downvoted if you didn't get in there otherwise.
That's true.
All right, so let's talk about some news hits from
Yeah.
in the chat. But before we do this, I need to put on our show.
Oh, change the Twitch.
What are we? Is it talk shows?
Talk shows.
I always forget what it is. We got to put on the proper thing so people aren't jumping in thinking we're playing Jackbox all night. We already lost some people that thought we were going to play all night, so
That's
it's all
probably
right.
true.
Try to snag a few people in here. Okay, so we're going to start it out with the Discord. So if you have not joined us on the Discord, you're missing out because we got some great stuff that's getting posted. So let's start maybe over in general. General is always a great one to start with. So I'm just going to kick right on over to it. Give me just a second to... oh, no, not that one. Don't worry about that. I need to get...
Just still credits rolling on Jackbox.
Yeah. Let's see if I can... if this actually works. Okay.
There we go. Do the Boston Dynamics one. So Boston Dynamics did a little bait and switch kind of thing.
Well, we'll talk about it in a second. Yeah, let me get it loaded.
Okay. Where, yeah, they announced something and then announced something right afterwards to kind of, they were trying some little marketing funness, which I thought was cool. But then they released a very cool video of their new robot.
Cool? Debatable if this is cool, right?
Everything with AI and robots is scary. Like there is no, it's not going to move like a human. It's not going to do any of that. It doesn't think like a human. There's a great, if anybody has listened to it.
Let's just watch this. So if you have not seen this, prepare to be absolutely terrified.
So they retired. If you remember Atlas, right? The robot.
Can we just like be terrified for? Oh Jesus!
I thought it was gonna lift itself up under and bring itself up.
But the fact that it's like what? Turn it around,
and then that's its back, and
like,
then it just like walks weirdly, sort of back and sideways.
Talk about that's like a Fallout thing.
It does look a little Fallout-y. He's like, "Huh? Can I help you, sir?"
I am out of that. What do you think about that? Let's watch that one more time. That is so creepy. The legs, the way that they just roll up around that.
Actuators.
So no hydraulics in this one.
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing, right? That's why they decommissioned basically the last one. Is he was built out of all these hydraulic things, and now it's all electrical motors and rotors and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know too much about it, but I know this will be the new thing that we get to watch videos about. It's him like parkouring around the studio.
Talk about Star Wars and like the droids and stuff. It is totally becoming a reality and how that works. So
we're gonna look at other robot stuff today too, even after this. So, but anyway, I just thought that was a cool one. I always like Boston Dynamics. I love their little videos, and I feel like they've been at the forefront of all of that robotic stuff, and I'm glad that they're keeping going.
There was another one they just did. Did you see the catapulting robots that were out there?
No. Catapulting?
Let's see. I wonder if I can find.
I was just gonna Google catapulting robots, and
I'm gonna say acrobat robots. I swear it's like a thing that just came out. Yeah, it's right here, number 1.
Oh no, I've seen this one before.
Oh, is it really that far ago?
2021.
Oh.
Yeah, because this is in the new. They want to do this in the new.
I thought there was a newer version of it.
No one can see what you're looking at. I know, but like it's Marvel, right? Like that's one video that I was looking at where there's like a Spider-Man robot, and it sort of flings itself up and then moves like Spider-Man and then catches.
Yeah, this is like from 4 years ago. I thought this was new and it was terrifying. So like, but we were not going to show it. So if you want to look at acrobatic robots, you can do that a little bit.
Disney.
It's ridiculous. Okay, so other Discord things. What else we got in the Discord? One of the memes that I absolutely love, to go with the theme that we were going with tonight. I feel like we got to show this one off. Is we just got to talk about this for a second. So
talk about it for a second. Give me your quick
Halo. I felt like we were justifying it, and we're like, it's okay. It's like they got that thing right. I guess they had to do that because it's a thing. And then Fallout came out, and it's like, you little peasant boy, bam, bam, bam. This is how you make a translation of a game. To a show. I can't even.
And maybe it's the content of Halo is sort of different than the content of Fallout, and maybe it lends itself more towards that because it is like, so Fallout has like different factions, right? Like if you play a Fallout game, there's the Brotherhood of Steel and there's the Ghouls, and they all have their own little like worlds. It's like a big, large role playing like game where you have to have all of that. So I feel like that lends itself to this sort of. I guess I'm
Covenant,
still trying to
UNSC,
but like you can't make Covenant. You can't make Covenant all the time just talking to each other.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Is that why tell the story of like Master Chief so hard and take off the helmet or keep anything like that?
100%. Like there definitely could have been smaller stories that they told inside of the Halo universe. They could have gotten something like this. And there's also not very much like fun in Halo, like in the sense of nothing is like, there's no goofy things in Halo, right? There's no like, I mean, unless you count like grunts or something.
Here's the thing, and I don't know how much you played of Fallout, and this is not going to really spoil it too much, but they keep, like, if you know Fallout, they keep throwing little Easter eggs in there. You're like, oh my god, on the T, like the stim pack, everything like follows the game.
Like her using the stem pack and seeing it there, and going and looking for ammunition in crates, and they look exactly like the crates that you get in the game. Like going in there and being like, what do you think's in there? And she's like, well, there could be a health pack in here, right? Like, I'm going in to search for a health pack for you. And you're like, you're right, of course, it's on the wall and it has a giant red, like...
But that, I guess what I'm saying is that it felt like it was in the universe, where Halo felt like they were like, screw you.
Yeah.
We're not going to play with your universe. We're going to
make I got a better story to tell.
It's like it was a bad sci-fi, is what, and then they just slapped Halo on it. And so, what Fallout did to me is the very first thing, it made me hate Halo more.
Yes.
It made me get mad at Halo.
It did.
And just like celebrate like what they did with Fallout. And I love it. I like want to see it. I heard a second season's already been talked about.
It's like,
if you haven't seen it, even if you've never played the game, it's amazing. Except Stealth Mouse hates that they did something in there. I'm not going to even say what they did because she was very mad and almost didn't watch it because of this. But
here's what I would say. These superhero movies, like box office profits, downward. Everyone is bored of that. They did what Disney does every single effing time, which is buy something and then run it into the ground. and they did that with Star Wars, and they did it with a bunch of stuff, and so now it doesn't feel special and it doesn't feel cool anymore. So my prediction is video games are the next superheroes, and I was nervous about that because I was like, all of these video game adaptations have sucked. And so it was good to see one that did it well. It's like people can copy this. They know what like can be a good, interesting thing in that world with like interesting B and C plot lines going on, right? That I care about. And not to keep throwing Halo under the bus, but like all of their little B, C, and D like storylines, their side storylines were like not interesting. I did not care about the characters, and I don't know what it was. I am not a writer necessarily in that sense, but like, man, I could not get invested in it. Where this one, I was like, I gotta watch the next one. Like, I usually don't watch 5 1-hour-long episodes in 1 week.
Without spoiling it, too, is that it also respected like the kind of ways that you would play the game of Fallout too, in like and so maybe this is a difference, and I'm not justifying how Halo's crap came out, but like in Fallout games, and I'm going to talk about that so I don't spoil, is that you go into a world and there is a mission, there's a main storyline,
right? But
then you divert and you get all like here and over
and he
here.
calls it out. They call it out specifically in the thing. He goes, that's the golden rule of the wasteland, right? Is to just get sidetracked by bullshit.
and they do it enough that it is such a huge world. But in Halo, you do the same thing. You can go this way or that way, but you do have a linear story.
It's a linear story, and it's a linear path like through the story for the most part. Even Halo Infinite is like very
I feel like
encounters.
We're justifying Halo's existence. Yeah. But the thing is, they went too far off canon and so this one just stayed on canon and is canon with Fallout.
Well, and so my wife doesn't play Fallout games, right? Enjoys games in general, but like any game, movie, or other media that I show her, she's not into it because they are terrible for the most part. Maybe Sonic was okay, the movie, but anyway, this one I showed her, she would hit her good buzz about it, and then so I was like, yeah, I'll rewatch episode 1 with you. And now she's in on the train. She thinks it's a great show. Doesn't know anything about the game. Just it's a good show.
Awesome. And it is funny. My son picked it up and he's like, I want to go play the game right now. I want to do the thing.
Okay, one last thing before we leave Fallout. I bet Bethesda is freaking upset that they did Starfield as opposed to another Fallout. Imagine if they had, instead of Starfield, had done another Fallout, and they would have had all the bugs worked out at this point, and now this movie hits, and it's awesome, and everybody wants to be in that world, and they're like, well, okay, go play Fallout 76 or whatever, or play our new Starfield that doesn't have anything to do with it, and they're like, nah, no thanks. I'll go play,
No, you know what they're going to do? They're going to make a Starfield version or something. But
yeah.
All right, next up in the I like this one. This was a funny one. Asking ChatGPT to generate a meme only AI will understand.
Yikes. Man. That's creepy. It feels like Uncle Fester. Like he should have a light bulb in his mouth.
So we had some other articles. We're not going to go in the deep, but the bill forcing AI companies to reveal use of copyrighted art. I thought that was interesting.
There's been a ton of legislation and things like that for security and AI and stuff like that. I'm glad to see the government doing more, knowing it needs to do it fast.
Mike Azul dropping in some.
So we looked at. Wait,
I want to hear this. I haven't heard this.
You haven't heard this? I listened to it.
The greatest leader we've ever seen. They say that he's the listen-out guy. Eyes bright blue and hair jet black. You should see him ride on a sandworm's back. Lead us to victory, Yusuf Muad'Dib.
How are you even going to compete with this anymore? Like, you could just say, I want sweet show tunes music in this theme.
Make me an entire, Lin-Manuel Miranda style musical but with, the Civil War. And so you'd be like, all right, now we got a new one of those. New Hamilton ready for you.
Stable Diffusion 3 API now available.
I bailed on Stable Diffusion. I was on hosting my own Stable Diffusion for a while and bailed out. Maybe this will get me back in.
This next one, kind of freaky. I got to be completely honest. So what this one is there is an AI that you can literally take a picture of someone and very minimal amount of audio and this is what it would create.
So this is real life audio of this woman, but then just a single picture, or maybe not even her, right? It's not like they would have to match up for any
her
reason.
voice. So this is what the AI is able to do. Oh, we got to turn up the volume.
You want to turn your life around, and you know somewhere deep in your soul there could be some decisions that you have to make. Like
it's a little uncanny valley.
Something was decided for you, and instead of trying to make something that is done work,
I mean, look at that.
Is it match? So it's not. It's doing it all itself.
Yeah.
Like there's not. It's not like tracking her face or doing anything, right?
Something else.
This is the picture.
That involves a lot of.
And that's it.
And that is scary. I have many videos as to why that is scary. Actually, you can check one out right here. But the unknown is scary, and so.
You can kind of tell it, like, if you look at this, like, this part of the head and then the teeth in there, but it's getting the inflection.
Yeah, right.
Okay, if you watch this, and so just imagine this. I'm going to turn off the well, I guess you got to have to listen to it. But
to make something that is done work.
Like, she, like, puts those inflection
right?
and, like, says it. She blinks a lot and in sync, like.
There's a part where she, like, when Adam showed this to me for the first time, like, where she like, sort of like squints her eyes at something where you would be like,
it's like the invitation is to make the decision.
It's like the shady part, right? Like it knew that what she was saying.
Next. But here's the thing. When we say no to something, we're saying yes to something else. But that involves a lot of unknown.
Yeah, like
look at that.
You know, like that involves a lot of unknown, right? It's like you're posing a question. Anyway.
I just am thinking it's nutso that we're at this point where
no one's gonna trust anything that they see.
We're getting down to the I guess this one's a Meta's battle with ChatGPT begins. They're opening up their own, the most intelligent AI assistant. I
feel like all of these
Meta.
I keep hearing, Claude is now the best one, right? Oh, no, it's ChatGPT. No, it's Gemini Ultra. No, it's like Facebook's like open source Llama. I feel like they're all just sort of going back and forth all of the time. I've been working with Gemini Ultra, and I feel like I don't like it nearly as much as ChatGPT, the pro version of that. But, you know, hey, it goes back and forth, it feels like.
I think the last one we're going to talk about today is there is on the iOS, if you're going to be playing the games and you don't want to go and buy a sweet retro system, you can play our game on the iOS with some of the emulators that are out there.
Oh, yeah, because they had
banned
them. Because they had banned them for a while.
They banned them, and then, like, it was drama.
Yeah.
One of the first things that just happened is, like, so they released a new one, and some guy's like, somebody stole my crap. That was my one that I was about to release, and it was, like, a whole thing about it. But anyways.
I can see that absolutely happening, right?
You can emulate games now on the iOS platform, so pretty cool. So jump in with the Discord with us. If you ever want to be able to contribute, we have a lot of conversations, a lot of insights. We are able to touch base on all the different things that are going on. All right, Ryan, what do we got next? Because I think we're going to talk about Google DeepMind is one of the areas that we had set up. So if you're looking for...
There you go. I thought I had put it into the Trello.
You did put it in the Trello. We just need to find where the Trello is, though.
Okay.
So why don't you give us a little bit of a breakdown? What
I just thought this one was fun. It's almost just another. It would be like a thing that I would put into the Discord, right? Which was just, here's Google training robots, and they're tiny little robots that play soccer. But I thought it was interesting how about this like reinforcement learning that they're doing is not giving them specific instructions on how to play, but instead being like, go and play each other a lot and learn what would be the best strategies. And they end up learning some really interesting strategies about like, if you have two robots against each other trying to get into the soccer goal, like maybe it's better if I'm always in between the soccer ball and my own goal to block it. Or maybe if I fall down in front of the ball, I can block the ball. And so I just thought it was interesting. Like, there's video, right? Like,
I hope there is. The
there
site's going really slow on this, but all right.
There's a fun little.
But I like this.
Video.
This is like the robot in its little
in its
area,
little,
right?
Soccer pin.
All right. Let's see here. Here's the video right here.
Humanoid soccer requires agile locomotion,
You can mute it.
dynamic object interaction,
But
strategic game.
anyway, I thought they were very cute.
How big are they?
Yeah, I don't think they're very big.
Deep reinforcement
Like, look at the plant off to the side.
Yeah, they're like little cute robots.
Yeah.
Running and turning.
And then I thought it was really neat. They were saying that it was learning how to like pivot and turn and run at the same time, right? Because you need
I love
to
the
have
balance
that.
of it. They're cute.
They're cute. And like them getting up quickly. They're like, if they fall down, they really want to get up quickly because they know the guy's going to go and score on them.
We use the basic onboard sensors, joint positions, accelerometer. And
I mean, to be
gyros.
able to kick something, that's you got to like
Policy,
balance yourself and
positions,
things.
Target joint angles. Use
Yeah, they well, and I feel like the version that I saw was even
the policies shown here.
Even
Additionally,
cuter.
even cuter than this. It was like this almost feels like the research version.
I like the research version. I noticed the walls though have like the little ramp on it.
Yeah, well, it's to like shove the ball back into the back into the field every time, right?
I feel
so
like
they could just play endlessly and
I
learn.
feel like they had this at I've seen this at a museum. Maybe not this crazy, but I was in Denver at one point, and they had like a little like things playing soccer and kicking it around there,
Yeah.
and it's awesome.
I just feel like it's gonna go that direction with those Boston Dynamics robots, right? Like as those robots get more sophisticated and can balance and do things, it'll just do this where it just learns, okay, when I fall over or when I try to fold laundry, here's kind of the best way to do it.
It looks like these are just the simulation versions of it. I want to see them actually playing.
Like they start.
Look at that guy in the back. He's like, I can't even do it. Yeah, get over there, boy.
And then like
Oh, man.
like setting it up for themselves and everything. And there's definitely parts where they just fall down in front of it. Like it learns just like I just got to throw myself in front of it every time.
So the general gist is they're training themselves.
Yeah.
So.
It's like on the best strategies. Like I was saying, they were learning how to get like always be in front of the net and the goalie.
Penalty kick. You got it in.
They look so weird doing it. Like, and how many times did they have to?
I like how quick he got up, though. That was great.
He does good.
It seems like super complex, and they like have a bunch of different things combining skills. Okay, this has got to be where they're
like turning and ball control.
Okay.
Kicking a moving ball.
That guy's like, no.
See,
Look
this
at
is
you,
the
boy.
this is the part that I saw. Yeah, like defensive blocking shots, which is pretty cool.
Is that it? That was it. I don't know. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I just like I feel like robotics sort of took a back seat for a while to AI stuff, but now they feel like they're coming like
We
kinda
probably
back
just didn't
together.
notice it. People have been doing this hardcore.
I guess you know, from what I know, Boston Dynamics wasn't putting out as many videos as they had before.
Like we got to get in on this thing. So,
all right, that's the cool news. That's the cool AI and tech and art news.
all right, we're gonna go into it right before the stream, and we don't know anything about this, so this is on the fly that we're about to run through this.
Okay.
Is that there's apparently maybe it isn't something that's cool. Maybe it's not a cool thing. There was an enhancement to OBS. So I was about to turn it off today.
OBS, explain what OBS is.
OBS is open broadcasting software. That's what we're using to do this. So when we see this and you say Adam and Ryan come in,
How did that happen?
when you see, hey, how are we down there
What?
twice? This is crazy.
It's crazy.
How does all this stuff work? This is all OBS. So
And free software.
it's free, and then I'm using a couple other little tools to make this happen. And so, here it is. It must be there is a beta, an enhanced broadcasting beta. And anyhow, what happened is there was an update right before the show, and you do not update OBS right before the show.
It's notorious of breaking OBS on updates.
There was a show once where like 30 minutes before the show, I did an update, something stupid, and it completely it destroyed everything. And I was like, there's no way we're going to have a show. You don't know how much baling wire and duct tape keeps this show together. And it's like OBS and all these other tools that make this all work. And like I've had to really like backwards engineer this to make sure it happens. So anyways,
Mike is you update during the show, obviously. Oh my God, it would be like it's like playing Russian roulette.
oh, he's saying that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. We did that once. I think we had the reboot and we were still talking through that.
Oh, that's right.
But there was anyways, today I turned on the computer and it's like, hey, you have an update. You should update. This is not the enhanced broadcasting OBS update. And I was like, okay, well, what the heck is this?
Enhanced broadcasting.
So it's not fun to show what's on the screen because it's a bunch of text. But what it says is for both big streamers and small streamers, it transcodes matter a lot to the viewers. Okay, so, I see what it does. So it has two capabilities. And so it's not going to be as fun as I thought it was. But essentially it encodes the stream in different formats and at different sizes. So if you're on your cell phone and you're driving across town watching the Hangout, you're not going to want to watch this full-on HD stream, but you wanted a version of it that you can watch so that it's a little bit more compressed.
That's why YouTube does the same thing, right? And like it breaks your video up into a bunch of different versions of it and then gives you the version that's best for the Wi-Fi that you're on and the place that you're at and everything. It like keeps things from buffering basically, which this makes me think that it's just going to keep things from buffering.
I think so, but since we're so badass and we have this thing all set up, I think we're going to be in a good space.
We're probably good on buffering on our on our end. Yeah, I mean OBS does I have turned on people in my company that don't do anything else except for use it just for screen capture, right? It's just like free awesome screen capture.
I am wondering, and I'm going to try to show you what OBS is. I don't know if this is even going to be possible, but let's see what happens here. I think this is going to break OBS. Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
It's going to be like an infinity screen.
It is an infinity screen.
Yep.
So what you're seeing, wait, can I put myself up on it? Oh, that actually kind of works.
Infinity,
okay, so we are in OBS right now, and what you see off to the side over here is you have all these different things. We actually have two versions of OBS running. We have the OBS on one computer and then the actual OBS one that sends it out. So it's even more complex on this setup. But just to give you an example, what's happening over here is these are all of the different camera angles that we set up and all the things that makes this show work. So let me just give you an example. Wait, can I even do that? I don't know if I can. Because if I
change things and do stuff while you're streaming, like
while I'm streaming the interface of where it is. Hey, welcome. Hopefully you're feeling better. I know things have not been good because you just went through some surgery. So hopefully you're feeling better. Thanks for joining us.
I don't think that's till next week.
Oh, really?
Anyway.
Oh.
I was watching Kylie last night.
I know. I watched Kylie quite a bit. I lurk quite a bit. One time I lurked and she's like, I don't think Adam's there anymore. And I was like, nope, I'm still here. But thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
We're actually about to talk about the video game. So Tuesday. All right. Well, we're all there for you. We're thinking about you.
You're showing off the artwork.
Don't worry about it, Ryan. This is the Hangout. This is what happens when we talk about the Hangout. All right, let's transition to the Game Boy game. We have been building a Game Boy game. So much fun that has been happening with that. Yeah. So I got to tell a hilarious story. Oh my God, this one's good.
Is this one I've heard?
No, you kind of heard about it beforehand. So I got to go grab it from the back here in a second. Wait, okay. I thought that 3D printer was done. So I've been thinking future, how are we going to get this Game Boy in people's hands if we want it on a cart,
yeah,
right?
Game Boy game, right? So, like, that's what's fun is having it on a real cart.
I got Ryan a Game Boy for his birthday.
Totally. I could go grab it. I know.
So he could play Game Boys in a cart. His birthday was just on Tuesday.
Yep.
And so happy birthday, Ryan.
Thank you.
And I thought, how cool would it be to get him a Game Boy? So I got him a Game Boy Color because that's what we're building.
Game Boy Color. The bright green, the best version ever.
Because I thought it was like the cool cart. Happy birthday, Ryan. Woo. So it was the color looks like the eye of our skull.
It does.
Skull
it's
Bobs.
perfect. It's perfect coloring for it.
And then I gave
brand.
I gave him a cart that had our game alpha on it. And so he's going to bring this back every time that we have a new alpha. I'm going to load it up and he can play it so he can actually
That's
get
why
that
I brought
experience.
it today.
Hells yeah. So here's the deal is I was like, how do I start to like mass produce this? So if we wanted to give it to all of y'all that have been here and like we wanted to... Hey, Kylie, thank you for the sub.
You.
Oh, nice.
Love that.
Even our stuff is working.
Wow, it's like a whole thing that happens.
Yeah, we obviously don't get that often.
No, what? Of course
I
we
mean,
do. Yeah.
thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
So, that is awesome. Thank you for sure. That makes my heart feel good. Like we're actually we doing the thing. We've been doing this. This is episode 54, and then there was like a whole bunch before. There was like 40 episodes before this. It was almost like 100 or something.
That's awesome.
All right. Long story short, I went on AliExpress and I said I want to buy some like cheap Game Boy cart things, and what it is
Birthday subs.
Birthday subs is awesome. Is inside of the Game Boy carts is a little like chip. It's basically what makes the whole thing. That's where you put the game on and you can put in a Game Boy. And see, they sold them. They're like $10 on AliExpress. And all they show on AliExpress is that little PCB board, basically the board with the chips on it. They're like, buy it.
Like what you're talking about is like if you took apart a Game Boy game.
Yeah.
This would be the chip that actually does something that doesn't just hold the art.
So essentially a Game Boy game cartridge is two pieces of plastic that slap onto each other, which honestly, we're printing one as we speak. That actually might be something cool to look at. So you can kind of see it. That's actually a cart that we're printing right as we speak.
Yep.
And my thought was I was going to get this cart, this little like PCB board, put it into this cart, we'd screw it on, and then we'd use a cool 3D printed version of it, right? So I go on AliExpress, I order a couple of these, and I ordered this single one from this one random person.
Are you doing AliExpress because it is so much cheaper than getting it from just like a normal place?
I mean, it's the only place I could find.
It was the only place to even get it.
Let's try to do this.
Is it just on Amazon?
I don't know if they have this. I'm gonna go to AliExpress.
They probably wouldn't like that on Amazon because it would be like emulating a Nintendo. Thing?
No, they sell them on there. They're just like really expensive.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I went to AliExpress and it's all in Chinese, so I apologize for that. But
oh man, well,
let's see if I could find this cartridge. I gotta put Game Boy. So I'll show you kind of exactly how I ordered this. This is so these are ones that are actually showing games and things like that. It's not even what I did. Like none of this showed a game.
Wait, like this?
Kind of.
Oh, that's the screen.
Yeah, like it was more of it's like this.
Yeah. Okay.
So this one right here, it was like I went to something like this, and they're like, "Hey, you could buy this online."
And you're like, "Oh," and I would just put that into my own.
And I would put it in my own package,
right? Because you got a 3D printer that does that perfectly well.
Yeah. Now this one I don't think is exactly. This one does something else. So, but basically it's like this. I thought this was what I was getting, and that's what it said I was getting. So I got it yesterday, and I pulled it out. And it was just a game.
It was just a game.
It was just a freaking game. So I'm going to go grab it.
So it's almost like, could you just go buy used? There's got to be just used Game Boy games that you could just harvest the boards out of, right? Is that good enough?
You can, but there's different sizes and there's different like perspectives. And we're doing Game Boy Color.
Right.
So what we're going to look at is the game that I got, which is called, was it Repugnant Bounty? Repugnant
Bounty?
Repugnant Bounty. So they gave me this. I was expecting
somebody look up the Metacritic or the on Repugnant
Bounty. So what I did at most thus far.
That's a good looking card. That must be that's new. Right? That's a new...
It's not a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Because I took 2 minutes to go online and say, is this even a real thing? And I think it's like kind of an indie game.
It's like a Steam game, basically, that's just put onto a cart.
It definitely has like an anime feel to it. And you can tell that they just made the sticker and put it on there. Totally. So somebody made it, but it says Nintendo on the back and everything. 4.4 out of 5.
Oh, I'm excited to play it now.
So we haven't played it.
Wow.
We haven't done... It's a homebrew.
Oh, nice.
So here's the deal is you are going to get the experience just like in real time with us to play this freaking
Bounty.
game.
I see it's even on the front. GBC, Repugnant Bounty.
But the hilarious thing is I was like, all I wanted was the board so I could load our game on it. And now I got a game and I'm like, I can't overwrite this. What the hell? Like, I want this.
Can you download the ROM and then like play it on your analog?
I think you
or something
can, but
like
I
that?
don't want to like jeopardize this thing. So
that's
what I'm going to
true.
do is let's see if I can get this all worked out. So we got our Repugnant Brownie. So here's our analog. So if you haven't seen this guy, this is the one that we've been testing our
It plays
game on.
legit cartridges
But
of Game Boy.
I'm loading this little sucker in
Instead
there
have a tab on the top.
because this is Adam you're talking about, and I haven't taken that part of it off
Jesus
yet.
Christ.
Hey, I haven't even taken the thing off the
Oh,
screen
man.
yet.
That's brutal.
It's a thing I
Live
do.
your life, Adam. Live life. For
Because
God's sakes.
you know what happens is then years later when somebody else is doing a sweet stream and I get to pull it out and you have like epic Game Boys and other
I
things
guess.
to talk about.
I guess.
I'm that guy.
Adam's like the guy who puts like the plastic all over the furniture so that it doesn't get wrecked.
Yeah, and then Heather's the one that helps mess me up with that. So I have
Heather is like this as well? Oh
no,
my God.
she's
the
opposite. She likes
Okay,
to
see,
screw with me.
See, exactly. That's what I feel like. Kathy, so if I feel like I am that side of like just take it out, like what? Why would you care about that at all? Adam is the Kathy is even more like that. So I am the Adam to Kathy's.
Yeah.
Like and that I am to you. It's very interesting.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and I think I have the analog.
It's easy to do stealth mode.
Oh yeah, we there.
Hey, all right, play that baby.
All right, here we go. Wait, what did I just push? I pushed a button that I probably shouldn't have. Hold on a second.
Repugnant Bounty. I feel like that's got to lose something in the translation.
I know. What does repugnant like?
It
Like
means
it's something
bad, right?
Okay.
Like you're like, oh, I hate that.
So
Ugh,
we're
it's
gonna
gross.
play this. Hopefully we can hear this. I don't know. We should be able
A
to.
repugnant bounty would be like, oh, I went out on a bounty and it was for someone who is repugnant.
All right, here we go.
So I guess it makes
We're hitting
sense.
play. This could be terrible. You can download a pocket file for this. Apparently, $15.
Canadian bucks? Is that what CAD is?
All right, here we go. Playing Repugnant Bounty. Ooh. All right. See, this
looks great.
This is as far as I got. This is
2023.
yeah. I saw 2023. I was like, okay, there's a game on here. I think we're gonna do this on stream.
I love this.
So, what is Repugnant Bounty about, though? So, okay,
Is it an anime that we just like don't know about?
I don't know. Let's see what this has. Settings.
Oh no, wait. Is there a saved game?
No, I don't see one.
Would that be in settings? Continue. See, there's a continue.
Ooh.
I think you just gotta continue. See, this is already you're
Holy shit! This looks like Metroid. This looks like Metroid.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Come on. This is just a Metroid.
Hold on a second. How do I get out of this? There is no wait. We can't start from there. I want to see like intros and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. This seems like the very beginning. So
All right,
maybe that's where the save was.
Yeah.
Are you restarting? Just restart.
How do you?
This looks exactly like the beginning of Metroid.
It
where you
surely
come out
does.
where you come out of the the spaceship and come down.
All right. I can't.
Is
remember.
this an anime chat or is this like this is just somebody's
Hold on.
fun?
I'm unplugging it for a second. Hold on. Let me get out of
Okay,
this.
you start. I gotta use the restroom.
I'm gonna quit this and we're gonna replug it back in. Here we go.
No problem.
Have a good one. Thanks for hanging out even just for a little bit tonight, Kylia. Thank you for the sub so much. Ryan loves it. So, okay, an alien princess from the planet of Nemolia seeks genocide on evil monsters who killed her mother and people. Can you find and kill all 28 threats? All right, good luck if I don't talk to you and see you before Tuesday. Hope everything goes well. We'll be in there for you. Okay, we're going to play the cartridge. Hopefully it's not going to start from where I just started. It probably will. That's probably going to screw me. All right, here we go. To turn on this controller again, I guess. So I have a little bit of a wireless controller. Okay, we're gonna start here. So we're gonna clear the save. So apparently they gave us a used game, which is hilarious. So I ordered a thing and I'm getting a used game. It was $11.
It was like a game they couldn't sell.
They're like, we can't sell this. All right, let's see what this has to offer. I want to see the story here. Ooh, that's cool.
I like the. It's like I like how this looks so far. I'm very impressed with their game.
We could make this. That's the thing. This is crazy.
Yep.
Ooh, we got story.
1 million years ago.
A certain star was the climax of life.
This feels
The
poorly
radiation produced by the star changed the people who relied on it.
It's weird it's in English to begin with.
Finding a new place to call home was their only option. Good English.
Exactly 1 million years ago.
1,000 ships left in search of new worlds.
Exactly 1,000 ships 1 million years ago.
Yeah, I love the exact numbers, but none returned. It's got to, yeah, bullcrap. There's at least one.
Only.
The people who remained on the planet changed as their environment became increasingly hostile.
It's hard to read in that quickness. We're going to have to make
They even became nearly immortal. Despite that, an unforeseen threat wiped them all out.
nearly immortal.
Oh, there it is.
All
except
except
one.
Nice. 1,000,001.
I expect that. Oh, no, 999. And then we're the one. Damn.
I see. I love that. I feel like I love the art in this game.
It's looking good.
It's on Steam.
Damn, it must be good then. Even if it's a ripoff. Oh, okay. This is looking familiar. Okay, so
Come on.
I bet you what happened is when I turned it on, I was the one that got to this.
Oh,
And it probably just like gave me like a save.
it
at
could have
some
been
point.
someone just testing it, right, to make sure it even works.
Okay, so if you have ever... Oh, wait, look at that. You're jumping behind things. That's cool. This totally, if you've ever played Metroid...
Yeah, I was
that's
gonna
how
say jump
Metroid-
back up into the thing to save. Yeah, this
Okay,
is
see.
yeah.
Oh, shoot, you can go
Oh,
to the left.
hey, well, see, it's already different. No,
Oh,
that's,
man.
that's
I need like a
similar.
jump up on there, like a
Yeah.
wall climb.
You'll get
You know what
get
you're
a double
gonna...
jump. You get a double jump here in a minute.
You know what I like? The weather.
Yeah,
That's sweet. Like lightning and stuff. Like I don't think GP Studio could do some of that. I think they did use some GBVM code. This is looking cool. This definitely feels like...
is it weird? Like, I can see the outlines of the pixels. Like, doesn't that look strange?
Of which?
Like, see her? See how each of the squares of her, like, white has an outline of the pixel?
Oh, it's because
Like, it's not a solid shape.
It's the mode of the analog. This is a mode of the analog. So you can have it as a solid shape. And I really appreciate that you just pointed out that this is a girl, because to me, when I am looking at it and he first came down, it looks like a dude with a huge, like, wavy beard.
Like, that's his face
Like
below?
he's like a big
That's like
dude.
her little... No, that's her little, like...
I get it,
her
I get
little,
it.
like, cloak,
I see it, but
snap.
it totally looks like a it looks like a guy, and that little thing on the thing is his mouth.
He's like the... Yeah.
No, that's
gigantic
his
mouth.
beard, and his like little tiny mouth is that thing in the middle there.
It's like, real monsters. Do you
Like he has
remember the guy
these
from
big
that?
eyes and some little like antennae, and then his little wavy beard just going around there. I don't know. My brain is okay.
Is there a map, a Metroidvania?
Okay, so
style
I just
map?
hit
no
select
item.
no item, and I hit start. Nothing happens. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, see with the background like
This
in
is-
between.
this is good.
Love that.
What the hell is this? It's like a door.
Maybe at some point
Can't go through it. Oh,
you're stuck.
shoot.
That looks very Metroid.
Yeah, it's Super Metroid rip. But I guess. All right. The hell is this?
Get that sword.
This sword? What do I need to do to get it? Polar Edge. I mean, that's kind of Metroid. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Okay. What's
So-
in your pocket? You got 4 things, and then your little
Got
pocket.
one hand in my pocket. Oh, wait, sorry. All right, so
Well, a lot of Morissette reference.
yeah,
You're aging us.
Hey, just the fact that you knew who that was. So you got a little swipe.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
This is good. All right, I want to kill something now.
Yeah,
Give
I
me
feel
something
like
to kill.
we can kill something, and
I'm very explory right now, though. It's like I feel like I should have hit an enemy by now, right?
nah.
All right, fair enough. Oh,
It's even double. It's got like, see, now you're even in the. That's where you was back there, and now you're in the
man.
front.
That looks
That's great.
really good.
It's really
I
good.
love that effect.
Yeah.
I don't think we can create that. I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm not that smart. Yet.
It's like double parallax scrolling.
Yeah, I can see why that was potentially good then. Ah! Oh shoot! Was there something there? Is there? Oh, there's a door there. I want to kill something.
You're like,
This
man.
is clearly a killing game.
Yeah, like how do you give someone a sword and then not have like an enemy there for you to kill?
Yeah, like instantly. At all, like yet.
It's just abandoned. It's an abandoned place. No power.
Okay, so we're trying to turn some power. Okay, maybe this is like our game. It's a puzzle. This is what this is. Oh, what's this? New little like ice world. Ah! Oh, I
Taking
just
the
hit.
elevator down.
I hit down. I thought I was. Oh, you're going down to somewhere. What's up? Oh, we've got little mushrooms down in here. Oh, cool. What is this?
I like the contrast of the colors to be like.
A life dar? Did that say a life dar?
One of 28 life dars.
Yeah. Oh, fight your way out. You have to like get your stuff. I definitely want to get some sort of like beaten on. I want to see the enemies that would come in this. I feel like I'm going very far down.
It reminds me of Hollow Knight. Because
Yeah.
you're always like going further and further down.
Uh-oh.
Music cues. I like this idea of like just there's a music cue in a room.
I got a polar shot. Okay. Tells a polar shot. How do I turn it on? Okay. Can I do something? So how do I select it? Oh, here we go. Oh! Oh, shoot.
Yep.
Wait, why did everything change colors? Uh-oh, I got something to kill. Got my killing
Ooh,
on.
Interesting.
This
I
is-
like that. Like it changed color palettes halfway through.
Yeah, so that was one of the reasons. Oh, kill that butterfly. I don't want it to eat me. Alright.
I feel like
Oh,
that's
it lit up.
more a.
Okay. Can't kill it. Okay, I got it.
We got it.
So what's cool about this is when we were talking about color in our game, you could do these things. Okay, these things are
Could you do that thing like those little things up there where it has the yellow tips?
just a tip. Yes, we could. We could even do this. I figured out how to do water like this too.
Oh, okay,
I know how to do
nice.
that. Ah! Ow! Wait, where's my life? It's down there. Oh crap! I can't get out of this.
You're drowning.
Am I? Oh shoot. Ah! I need to like special. Hold on a second. Crap.
Can you slash that guy?
I'm trying to figure out how to change to my other weapon. Oh, there you go.
Pew 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 pew.
Got my pew pew. Okay, I'm apparently terrible at this game. It's kind of cool. I like that. So let's look at the animation. That character is how many pixels? You could almost like that's like
Yeah, you could almost count.
I think that's about as big as our pixel, or
Yeah,
if not.
I think so. And like, I like the idea of a piece of the clothing moving all the time. Oh,
Ooh, I like
or
that death
Yeah,
screen.
like that death screen. Like when you die, it just a still of.
I don't
you.
know. This is like so to think you're getting just a little bored and you get this.
Yeah, it's
That's pretty
good.
sweet. Here, you give
Pretty
it
fun.
to give Ryan a try on this. one.
Well, and I think we should move on in a second, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do think that Very Hollow Knight vibes, and you're saying probably done in some kind of software more advanced than GB Studio, right?
I think you could do a lot of this in GB Studio. You would just need to put some additional code to make it work. You could hit like up or something on that to grab that.
Man, it brought you all the way back to the very beginning too.
I'm sure there's save points, and I was being really just casual with how I was doing some of that. Because, I just wanted to get the controls down.
Yeah, and like you could do the little jump, right?
Yeah.
Or you could do the big jump.
Wait, how did you do that?
Like you just hold on to it more.
Oh, yeah.
But I like that. But do you see how like this has a lot of platforming? Like
It does.
these has like big levels that just have nothing in them, right?
You must have some like ball to go down there because you're too big right now.
Yeah. So am I in Surface 28?
There's 28 little things you need to find, but you're on the surface. So I think that's just telling you where you're at.
I see.
So you must have to go. The further down you go, you must have some other area.
Oh man.
Yeah, it makes it like creepy, like you're going somewhere and then you unlock the doom.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have to play more games like this. Like, what are the modern versions?
Well, I was gonna say, like, yeah, what are the cool
do?
modern things that are happening? Because this is cool, and this is random as hell to get this. To be honest, that was funny. Wait, what does it say on this box? Yeah, Repugnant Bounty, Game Boy Color, straight from China.
Straight from China.
Man, they did a great job on this box too.
It's like, nope, you can't go in there. That's interesting. I like the idea of like a noise that it just makes so that you know not to go.
You know what I was looking at is some games that were for blind folks on Game Boy, and there was an echolocation game.
Huh.
So it would like make some noises in different patterns, and you had to know like left, right, up, down kind of patterns. And so you obviously, if you can't see it, you're just using
Right.
echolocation. I thought that was awesome.
That is interesting.
And it was like a puzzle game. Like you had to pretend you're in a maze, but you're trying to find the walls, and you have 5 tries to get through the maze by hearing the echolocation. Hello, I'd like to go into your door.
Like even like the jump and attack has like a weird, like her falling has a little different sprite to go with it.
It's the jump. The jump sprite. Okay, so yeah, clearly you always have to go to here.
Yeah, I think they're trying to funnel you to like. Oh, are we disconnected? Or you're disconnected from Trello? That's it.
From Trello?
That's what it. Just a little thing came up. Yeah, man, I feel like changing it from real life to or from one color palette to the next color palette is fun.
So that was gonna say that's the cool thing about I would not go that way. Is you can do that with our game. There's ways that you can change the color palette with things that happen like that. That's so one of the things that you were saying is like I don't want to use the color. We could make it to where you could pick a different suit, and you could have our guy change his shirt. And I have a thing I was gonna say too, and I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Okay, well we can. I could sit here and play a fun little.
That's fun.
game.
Okay, so what did you think? Like that's awesome, right?
It almost sucks that you're gonna have to delete it for the thing that you use.
I'm not because I got 5 other ones, so I'm hopefully they're gonna sell.
They're just
me
gonna be 4 other, indie
random,
games.
awesome, amazing games. If that's the case, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So
that's fun.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, get perfect timing for transition.
Perfect.
Because what happened back here but a sweet Game Boy cart that I'm gonna go grab real
Finished
quick.
3D printing. How long did that take?
2 hours and 45 minutes. I had to schedule that.
Yeah, right. Just to end right here at the halfway point of the show.
Yeah. So what this is I was thinking that I was gonna get Repugnant Bounty as just a a piece of PVC board that I would fit into this thing. All right, let's see here. Check it out.
Nice. That looks good. Oh man, that part that you're gonna put the sticker on looks a little rough, but there'll be a sticker on top.
Yeah, that's the part. Well, let's see how this works. This is sweet because it's orange. I figured like we gotta put our game as an orange game. Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to do some sanding maybe. Nope, maybe not.
Hey.
That is sweet. An orange thing. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to do some sanding here. I'll bring it forward.
Oh, like it won't fit flush.
No, I'm gonna have to do some adjustments, and I just got it stuck. So, anyways, we got a sweet cart.
You're
over
like
here.
trying to cram it together for the show, and
Yeah, here we go. Little Game Boy cart. This looks good.
it does.
Let's see here. Let me see.
And that's all it would take to, and then you would just so.
You know what?
You were talking about like because you're buying onesie twosie little boards, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a thing that you were trying to do to get like a bigger run of these things?
So yes, there's a site online. I'm not going to show it off on the stream, but there's a site that you can then do runs. Well, they'll do the board. So here's what a Game Boy game. Don't worry about that. This is what a Game Boy game would actually come with. This is original. Well, this is an advanced one, but it usually comes in this little box, and then you open it up as like a little insert, and then it'll have the game in it.
Okay.
And so you can order it to where we would be able to have the game inside there.
And you would just be like, we're gonna order 100 for our Kickstarter,
100%.
or whatever.
But you know what I was thinking is what we could do just real quick is this part. Let's see here. All right, I got this workbench here.
Oh, you should turn on the mic back there if you're.
That's probably a good idea. Okay, so here is a cart that I had bought before. It's very similar to this. So this is what a Game Boy cart would look like. And let's see if I have the...
Don't people just sell lots? Like they would just be like, "Hey, here, buy 50 Game Boy cartridges in a box, and we don't tell you what it is."
That is what I've been trying to figure out is how do we get that? And so I haven't been able to figure that out yet. So I have to have a special screwdriver to be able to get into these carts here, and it's like a special like hex. And now when I'm looking in here.
Not in there.
I don't know if I have it in here.
I've done that. I've had to buy special ones to get apart, like a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. It takes a very specific kind.
The freaking thing, and you know what? It might be one of these. Actually, it is one of these. One of these should work. Let me see if I can get this with this one. So I wanted to show you what the PVC board would be. I got the right screwdriver. Sweet. So what it should be like is this.
Oh, okay.
Or something. The other ones I was actually looking at are a little bit bigger. And so then this is the part that you buy, and you get a bunch of them, and you should be able to shove them into the little casing here.
It feels like it couldn't be very much bigger. Because doesn't it have to fit underneath that?
No, there's ones that are the full size of the board there. So anyways, that's what we're doing. And so I could just hot swap it, and that's my idea. I'm going to have to do some sanding and some adjustments because I think the one that I just printed, I realized there's a part that I needed to take off the print so that it actually fits together. But it's fine. So here I go. Is we can start making our own carts, 3D printing them on the show.
Yeah.
And we'd have that ready to go.
Well, I mean, at some point you could just have a whole bunch of them going all the time, right? You would just be like, all right, fill up the entire sort of platter with 15 Game Boy fronts and backs.
You can buy them online. I'm not going to act like we have to 3D print it.
Sure.
I just thought it would be sweet to have our own 3D printed version of it and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, it feels like having a cool 3D printed version would be.
You were right, Ryan. We've been like going through a lot on the show, so I think we should jump into some of the discussion on some of the stuff. So, all right. First of all, we're going to get into a little bit of discussion on the tutorial.
Yeah.
If you're good for that.
Great.
Okay. So this one's going to take a little bit of quick explanation so we can understand what's going on. So over in the Discord chat, I had a major discovery. And one of those things was Ryan and I have been making the game, and the challenge has been constraints and limitations, right? And one of the things that Ryan has a amazing history in and has a degree in is like basically computer animation, right?
Right.
And being able to create animations. That's an awesome thing that Ryan has in his history. And so when we're making this game, I'm like, Ryan, make Roby as a sprite.
Yeah.
And you have 5 frames. Have fun with that sweet degree you got from SCAD.
To do two frames of a run cycle.
2 frames of a run cycle. And guess what? That's all you got, buddy, for the entire game. And so how disappointing was that in a way, right?
Yeah. It made it be like, okay, well, I guess that's why we're doing a Game Boy game, right? Is to be constrained by it. But it, part of me was like, oh man, it'd be so much cooler if we could have a few more animations, especially to tell some of the storyline.
So I thought about this a lot, and I figured there's got to be some kind of ways to do this. And so what happens is, and I'm going to cut over into just to give you an example of what our constraints have been looking like. So if I go into this screen, we're in GB Studio. GB Studio is where we're building the game, and what you'll see over here, and I'm just going to go in my little development screen just for a second.
Okay.
Is at the bottom, it shows how many actors you have in the screen. That's what the A stands for.
And there's one, the ghosty.
There's one ghost, and there's technically the player, which is this me right here. And then there's sprites, and this is how many tiles they uniquely use. And that's what we're trying to keep this number on the left low.
Yeah.
And the lower this number is, the more other actors like enemies and things you can put in the game. And then generally there's these triggers. So those are things that you run into. So if you run into a trigger, it can say, hey, you're looking at a picture or you're doing a thing.
You picked up a key.
So when we look at this middle one and we're trying to figure out how can you limit this number of sprites, I'm going to go over to this area up here. I'm going to go to the sprites menu, and we're just going to take a quick peek at Roby. So here is Roby. And up to this point, and I'll have to make our little pop up a little smaller. Give me a second there. So here is the Roby sprite. This is it. This is what we got for his sheet right now. And I got to explain, Ryan, because it is missing a piece to it, and you're probably asking, well, where's his climb, and where's that, and we'll talk about in a second. But for this part of the thing, and this is not the tutorial that we're going to put out there yet, is you got Roby in there. And you got a couple different frames, and see each one of these squares is considered a sprite. And so if you come up over here, there's 24 unique kind of sprites within this kind of thing that's eating away at our sprites that are available over here. So there's 24, and you're like, well, why does it say 30? Well, guess what? There's sprites on little Ghosty. So if you go to Ghosty, and let's go find our ghost. And let's see.
So it's almost like even those characters are taking up some of your precious
100%
unique tiles.
And there's 2 that are taken up with our ghost, and the ghost, look at him. He's nothing. He's literally a ghost, and I just move him back and forth. And so you really have to think in a constrained way when you're building sprites like that. So at the end of the day, you have 96 unique tiles you can use. So if you imagine using your sprite, and if you went to 96 with your player, you could have no enemies in the game. You could have basically nothing else. And so if I started to go over here and we started looking at like, well, how many sprites do you use in certain areas? Now this one's going to be a little weird because it says there's 78 out of 96. The thing that's interesting though is that you have to think of this map being cut into these boxes. So within this little box right here that you're seeing, you can only have 96 like actors, so to speak, or those little those sprites. And so as your character moves across the screen, it will start loading in the other ones and then deloading, or whatever you would call it, the other side. So you can kind of like play with it a little bit. You may have some other sprites that are a little bit further down the line. You can kind of overload it a little bit.
Okay.
But we had a sprite for our HUD.
Right, yeah,
so
because that takes a unique tile.
That one does, and this one does, and then there was like a collectible sprite. So by the time you have it, like you just max out your sprites. It's like, so you could only have a couple walk cycles
right
of Roby, right?
And a couple enemies on the screen at one time, and that's basically
and the enemies couldn't be crazy.
Right,
like they're
yeah.
just little small enemies, so that sucked.
Yeah.
So I've been focused on like optimizing. So one of the things I found, number one, we can get rid of these ones for the HUD, and I figured out a different way where we don't even have to use an actor, so we can save sprites on that. So that's one thing.
That's great.
The second thing that we figured out, and I think I talked about this last time, and I went off on a tangent, and it was a little hard to understand probably, but then we were doing tile swapping, so I'm not going to go into that, but essentially we were identifying a tile and swapping it out. So that took away from how many actors, because now you're just having a trigger, and you have 30 of those, so that you can like jump into something. I think I use that as an example over here, and I'll just zoom in just to give you an example. So over here, here's a trigger. This orange is the trigger. So you can have 30 of those on there.
Yeah.
And basically I was saying is like, hey, when you jump into this trigger, you pretend like you picked up the key that is in there.
Yeah.
So what I'm basically doing is I'm swapping this background to say, put a key here.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit the trigger, make the key turn into just like a blank background, so it looks like you picked up
And
the
so
key.
on the admin side of this, it looks like a bunch of like numbers, but
Right.
but when you actually do it in the game, it's showing a bunch of like sprites that are saved in a different part of the game.
Precisely.
So that when you're on this screen, it doesn't take away from that very particular number of unique tiles that you're allowed.
Nailed it. And like if you click on this screen, you can see like we're using 64 out of 96. So been scratching my head. How can we do this? How can we make something interesting? And so I was working on the guns, okay? And so one of the first things I was like, how do you get different weapons? So if you get a cricket bat, which Ryan's been wanting to do, I'm like, okay, how does it make it look like he's swinging it? Because otherwise, and I think I have this here. We should probably just do a quick thing. I'm gonna chuck our little guy over in here, and I'll show you how bad it kind of looked when you have him with just a little cricket bat. But what would happen is, and I'm building it right now, is it just kind of swings the bat. You have to almost animate the bat, or you have to be super creative with how you would swing it. So I was like, we're so limited. We're not going to be able to do this.
Like the game that we just played, right? She didn't do her whole thing. It was almost just like a flick of a sprite showing, here's where the end of my killing stick goes. So in that case, it's like part of this. Okay.
So here, he's the same sprite, and I put a bat into it. I put a little gun in his hand, but he's the same sprite this whole time. So that's just his run cycle with me just like plopping a gun on his hand.
Yeah.
Or if I like put a little bat, he's doing that. Now watch what happens when I swing it. Like it looks dumb.
Yeah.
Like it's cool, but he's just like it doesn't look like a cool, like you wind up and you get the animation of it.
Right.
And so here's what I found out is I was like, well, can I take that sprite sheet, that original sprite sheet that I had, and can I swap it for like another one? So originally I was like, what if he had like Roby doing this walk cycle and you take 40 unique sprites, but then could I just say like, cool, you got that one, that's 40, swap it to another one. And then in this other one, like you get him doing all the crazy stuff and he's swinging stuff. And this one only has, 30 or 40. And so I did that and I figured out a way. There's a way in the code where you can say, take this sprite sheet and swap it to another.
Okay.
The challenge, though, is you run into these constraints. You run into these new constraints where he flickers. And it's like there's this like weird thing in the code where it loads it up. It's called the VRAM, which I suspect means virtual RAM, random access memory. And when it does that, it blanks just enough that it ruins the experience of the game. And so you're like, ugh,
because it needs like 1 frame refresh or something to like load the new sprite, and so then it like
100%. And so I was like, oh man, and I got close and I figured that out, and then I was like, all right, that's not a path I can go.
Yeah, like because it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look great. So in come GB Studio, and this is where I love this Discord community. So, I am going to make this little quick tutorial for this, and we're going to chuck it into the chat of this. But there's this gentleman named AMartinez, at least in the GB Studio Discord
channel. Yep.
and he actually threw a YouTube video out here. This is a Game Boy game, and look what he did with his character. I just need to show you this because I think you're gonna appreciate what is capable, and this is all in GB Studio. So first of all, double jumps.
It's like already like all of the animation that's in this,
and he's showing all the things like quick, cool punches,
right? Yeah,
and like crouches and like moving around and little things,
kicks with it on.
So I was like, "How are you doing this?
Right?
This is amazing.
This is exactly what we need."
So I've been able to get some feedback from this gentleman, and one of the first things is I just wanted to do my due diligence. I love that move, like
totally
shooting things out, and he has all this stuff, and I think we have some opportunity to be able to build this out ourselves. Like cool lightning moves, all the Game Boys. Like this starts to probably like, we could do something really cool.
Totally.
So what is happening? Yeah, I love that one. So I just wanted to make sure I was kind of showing off. And he has a gazillion other little things he does. There's this one that I love. Like, I love that. He's like, what's going on?
Yep.
There's he's punching a raccoon. This guy is like amazing. I just got to say that. So he's likely going to wall climbing and crawling up things.
God, yeah. That just feels like so much more animation than you typically see in a Game Boy, right?
And that's the thing, is that he's really opened this door for it, like hanging on the wall and kicking. So I didn't think this was possible.
Yeah.
This is all in GB Studio possible.
And like the little grass like going off of his feet when he runs in the grass.
Yes, these are the things like slides and stuff. So I don't even think we could probably touch the amount of skill and amazingness that he's done to make all of these crazy moves. And think about this. This is on Game Boy Color. He had to map that to every kind of possible like key combo that you would do in a Game Boy to make this truly work. So what I wanted just to call out is like totally possible. Yeah. So if I go over into the GB Studio Discord, just give it some heads up on like what it has out there, is over on this left-hand side, there's all these different things. You can get help. You can kind of touch base with folks. Pretty cool. And this is where I was able to kind of figure out how to touch base with him and have some questions. So if I went in here, and I can't remember where it is, there's like releases and demos, and people put their stuff in here as they go. So like there's a works in progress. And so if I go to works in progress, just to give this guy some credit, how do I search here? It's called, let's see here. I know it's Metal Head, and let's see here. This is this is his, I guess a sub channel that talks about how he does that. And so if you go back to like, I think it was in November or stuff, I could just keep scrolling up. And so I don't like to be the guy that says, hey, I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. Help me do this in my game. So I spent probably a good day reading through every one of these chats, looking through it, trying to figure out how the heck he does this. And so that was the hard part. And that's why I want to record the quick tutorial, is be able to say, here's at least what I found on how to do these little swaps so that you can do that. And I want to teach you really quick.
Amazing.
So I'm going to give you a quick 5 minutes on it. But I'm giving him a heads up. AMartinez, figure this out. I think it's a thing that's out there. So here it is. In short, the tutorial of how you swap sprites quickly to make that happen in the development mode. So I just have this development screen. I'm going to show you what the setup is and how this all works. So we actually have to start over in GB Studio, and so, or not GB Studio, but over in ASprite. And you can technically use any kind of editor to do this, but you have to have some sort of thing that you can edit some sprites. And so the first thing is I'm going to open up one that's called Roby. And so the first one will be Roby, and you can see that here. So there is the Roby kind of sprite. So let me zoom in a little bit.
Typical kind of walk cycle and jump and weapons and climb and all of that.
So this is the original sprite we had.
Yeah.
And what you'll notice is I kind of split it up, and you kind of like, you measured it. They fit within these like little boxes. Each box is 8 pixels by 8 pixels. This is my original sprite setup. So what you have to do, the first thing is it's all about how you set up the sprites, and this is why I'm going to show this to you, Ryan, because I need you to think about it this way. Is there's a couple ways that we're going to navigate this. So there is, I'm hoping there is. I need to find the right sprites here. Let me go back over here. I'm just going to open the sprites of it. So I'm going to go in and get our Roby sprites out. So there's two of them. There's an SS Roby. And first of all, tell me what you see that's different about this based off what we just saw in this sprite. So you see this?
I mean, it's missing half of the stuff, and it's sort of weirdly pushed across different.
So interestingly, it is a little bit off center, so that shouldn't be a thing. So I should probably figure out why it's not that. Let me open the second one though. So there's two sprites I'm going to open up. There's Roby 1 and there's Roby 2. Okay. And so these should actually be fitting within the right buckets there. But what I did is I made them fit within a specific range. And I think my grid might be off. Let me look at my grid. I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's on a 16 by 16. So let me turn it to an 8 by 8. This will make it a lot more. There we go. So now he fits within the right grids. Let me just change this one as well. And we're changing our grid. So if you haven't done this before, 8 by 8 is the grid. So what you'll first notice is that I used basically a 4 by 3 grid. Mm-hmm. And if you go here and there's a 4 by 3 again, 4 by 3, every one of these guys fits in a 4 by 3 grid.
Yep.
And notice I leave the very first part of the sprite blank.
Blank, yep.
So that's very important. So first of all, this is the walk cycle. And I'm a terrible animator. I didn't go and graduate from SCAD. So I tried to make a punch, Ryan, and it looks terrible. It's so bad. It's a bad punch.
All good.
But what I wanted to do is I put his pants white and I kept them green in these two sprites. And this is it's very important you do this, not necessarily the color wise, but I wanted to show that the actual sprite was swapping.
Yeah, like when it swaps.
So that it was a visual cue for me. But typically what you want to do is see how this very first sprite is him standing.
His like static or resting pose, right?
Same exact pixel perfect resting pose in both of those. And the very first frame is blank.
Yep.
Very important.
Okay.
So if you're going to go through this, I think you would take this, you would do one cycle, very first frame of all of it, and we're going to have to work with this is going to be exactly the same. And then you do your couple sprites, do your animation. So what's happening is when he's standing, he's running, he's doing his stuff, this sprite sheet's running, and then there's a way that you swap it, and it kicks over into this sprite sheet, and then the punch happens.
Yeah.
So you're basically saying, use that other one, and then as I hit a button, swap to this sprite sheet, and then make the punch happen.
And like animate this forward for these, and then stop, and then go back to the other one. Okay.
And so if we were to go back into our scene, and what I'm gonna have to do is let me pull my little thing. We're just gonna watch what this looks like, and then I'm gonna show you how I actually programmed it in there. And again, this goes back to the Metalhead's like methodology on doing this. And so what you're basically doing is you're mapping that sprite sheet switch to your button presses. So when you want the punch to happen, you're hitting the punch button and it's basically saying, hey, take this sprite sheet, flop over to this one, play this punch cycle, and then come back to the other one. So let's watch this in action on this guy. So there's Roby. When I do the punch, and you'll see watch his pants when they turn a color. So there's normal jump. He walks around. He's on one sprite sheet.
Right.
So you can see that it doesn't look like, aside from his pants changing color.
Sure, which they wouldn't in the normal.
It looks pretty good. So this is a simple example. So he can come over here. He can punch the ghost and knock the ghost. He always respawns because it's just like a little test area. So I'm going to show you how you set that up. Is the very first thing you got to do is you take those different sprite sheets. And this was our original Roby. So you can get a little bit of kind of perspective on what he looked like. And so we're not using this one. Totally off.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're using this SS Roby, which is I was just doing like I can't remember why I put SS. It was like a scene swap or sprite swap.
Yeah.
And the very first thing you do is on this left-hand side, and you can kind of see it over here. I'll just pull it up a little bit. Is that in every idle position? So as I click idle position, up here is where when you put your sprite in, you put them in the exact same location in all of the areas. And this is actually the second one. This is the punch animation that I'm working on right now. So you'll notice then I created a second state called punch. And so this is where you put your little animation in, and I'm going to just take our little camera off for a second, but at the very bottom, you'll notice that there's the first, second, third, there's your little your little animation. Yeah. And so when you're idle right, this is your punch animation. When you're moving right, he'll also do the same punch animation. So imagine if you're standing there and you hit the button, this little animation is going to kick off.
So does it always have to be 3?
You could do a couple more.
Okay.
And then moving right, let's say he's walking right and you hit punch. Well, does the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're jumping right and he hits punch, basically does the same thing.
Okay.
And now we have to probably think about climbing because you wouldn't be climbing sideways, and he does the same thing. So we created this state, and if you haven't done this before, you push this little button over here to click animation state. There's a little plus sign, and then over on the right hand side, it allows you to set up some settings on that animation state. So first of all, I gave it the name of SS Punch, and then I said this is a platformer player style kind of
because
setup.
That's a game we're making.
And then I also said, hey, flip it to the right. So anything that happens when you're going to the right, it'll flip to the left and right. It's basically flipping it both ways.
Okay.
So that's the punch cycle.
Yeah.
But if I go back to SS Roby, the original one, what I did is basically the same kind of perspective here. So let me bring up my animations again. Is idle left, right, moving, all the same default.
Yeah.
So just as an idle state, it's always the same. So basically, when you're walking, he has a walk cycle in here. Yeah. So imagine we're going to have a crap load of sprites in here, and we have to have a prefix. And so you have SS Roby. That's his basic default state. SS Roby punch. SS Roby slide. Swing. Every other kind of thing.
Climb.
Blank first frame. First, very, very first actual pixelated frame would be the same between this one and this one. Every other sprite sheet that you go through, it has to start there, because when it does the swap, for whatever reason, it stops the flicker, and you need to have that happen between that.
Right. It's like filling up the flicker, maybe, if I had to with the idle.
And I'm not sure exactly if I'm not know any super coding, but it has to do something with when you swap a frame, it has to load it in this virtual RAM or this memory. And when it does that, first of all, this blank frame loads, so it doesn't have the flicker, and then it just swaps right over to this, so there's no flicker.
Cool.
So that's how it goes, and we have to. So there's a little bit of coding on that, and then how you actually make it work in practical side. So I'm going to go back into the game world, and then we're going to show it off.
Do you want to put us back on?
Yeah, we'll definitely get in there. So as you get into the game world, on this right-hand side, and this is important because this is where I was struggling. So this is why I'm recording this video, so that anybody else that was struggling like me might be able to get some value out of this.
Okay.
On the initiation script, I started with, first of all, up at the top, I said, the basic player sprite is the original one where he's running around. So that's the most default sprite that we can do. So load that into the scene. On the initialization script, I call in and I say, hey, guess what? Player set animation state. And so if you're not knowing how that works, is there's basically a button, I'm going all the way to the bottom, where you can add events. And when you add events, you can start typing in, but there's actor event. So I'm saying state, you can say set animation state, or, there's ways that you can basically swap between different states, or what am I saying? Animation states as well. So if I put animation state, and this is where, Ryan, I'm doing this work. So I will do this side, and you do the sprite changing. So you could also set states. So just for the sake of this quick demo, is what I do is I say, hey, if the default state is him in this walking cycle, number one, I set that state. Yeah. I set the speed of that state to 5, so it doesn't look like he's ice skating. In this case, you may adjust for that. And then I attach a script to the button. So there's a way that you say, hey, attach script to button, and you hit B in this case, because I want B to be the punch button.
Okay.
And so when you hit B on press, these are the things that you want to have happen. And I'm going to pull this out a little bit so we can see it. First thing is you're saying, okay, set the animation state to default. And this is where AMartinez and all the work that he's done has had played in, is you have to have this chain of events.
Okay.
And then there's this thing called an idle, which basically says hold the state as idle. And I'm not going to say I necessarily know everything of why this works.
Okay.
And then it says go ahead and swap it over to this other player that has that row B2. So that, remember we had that we were on 1 to 2.
It's almost like this is a different player.
It is. It's so you're basically swapping to the new player.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, okay, once you swap to that new player, go set it to the punch state. And this all happens in the split second, essentially. Yeah. And then in this particular case, and this is where I need your feedback. So anybody that's out there, and maybe AMartinez is watching this, is I'm not sure where I actually put this script, but it seems to work for me, is I actually put the launch projectile, which is the punch, because I need some impact. I need it to actually hit something like the ghost.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this, but you can kind of pause the video if you wanted to, but I created a way for this little bat to come out, and you see this little like
I was gonna
poof.
say there's like a particle effect.
The particle, the little poof comes out, but this is how I set it up, and it worked for me. So it's basically saying, hey, make this particle effect happen for 0.1 second, and if it hits into one of these other groups or whatnot, kill that thing.
Right.
And I offset it from the player, so it looks like it's like a little air poof that goes in there.
Yeah.
But that's not important for this particular thing. It's like, how do you swap between the states? So I'm basically saying, swap to the state, do the punch cycle.
Yep.
I timed the punch cycle. It takes about 0.5 seconds.
Okay.
So it does its 0.5 seconds, and by the time it pulls back, because it's a little bit of a wait, it has just enough time for the animation to happen. I say, okay, swap it back to the other player, idle it again, and then put it back to the actor, and then put it back to his walking animation state.
Okay.
That's it.
Right.
So if you can do that, you have to set up the sprites just the same way we kind of looked at just a second ago, and make sure that first area there is blank, and make sure that the first actual animatable piece or those pixels are exactly the same in there.
Yep.
Once you get those sprite sheets set up exactly like that, you go in and I kind of mentioned this before. This is the quick rundown. Is you go in there and you have to know how to say create an animation state, and we kind of showed that. Take an animation state, create the walking one, create your other different states. You may have a bunch of different sprites in there that you create, and then you're swapping between those states.
And is this only for the player character?
You can do it for any character. So
that's what I like to hear.
Yes, you can. So imagine if you did the punch and then the ghost gets hit and it explodes. Yeah. But so now the only constraint is 96. So we can only load up to 96. So what my point is, if you make this crazy long single sprite with a bunch of animations, that's not going to work. So we still want to
so let's say his run cycle was not 3 little frames. Let's say it was 10 frames long. You'd be like, oh, that's going to use up a bunch of these. So it's a lot more. So it should still be like a concise, two or three or maybe 3 animations to do each one of them.
Correct.
But it could be slightly more if we were like, oh, we really want the the swing to have a back brought and then forward, to make it really feel like you're impact. That would be okay. You would just know that you are wasting.
And the thing is, it's the limit is once you hit the limit in this part, it's over. If you get over that 96. So the takeaway here is you just ensure that whatever that animation, whatever the highest one out of all those swaps you do, that's your limit. The high, because let's say this one was taking up 60, which is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
And then you swap to a 40. And then the scene's back down to 40. If you swap to a 20, you're good.
Okay.
So what we're doing basically is...
where you could do more then for each one.
He has over 1,000.
Right, yeah,
and,
exactly.
Think about all those moves we just watched with him doing that. And so, in this case, there it is in action. Do the swap. It all works. So now it's all about tuning. And it's all about okay, what happened? So and I don't think I have it in this version because I took so if I'm jumping and punching, it still kicks off, right? And so we just need to start mapping these other different actions and states,
Okay.
and then we can have a bunch of actions. So if you wanted, like, see how it like shakes the screen when you touch the ghost for him?
Yeah, because you're
we
getting
could
hurt.
we could have a knockback where he gets like knocked back and he like flings back and he's like, ugh, you know,
Yeah,
or
like a Castlevania where it has like the frame and you could fall off an edge or something like that.
100%. One of the things that AMartinez did, what was really amazing and I loved it, is every time he went to like a door, his character would turn and walk through the door and slowly like look like he walked into the door.
Nice.
And then so I was like, oh my God, think about if he went to the picture, Roby went to a picture and he like turned toward the picture.
Yeah, so when you select it, right?
Yeah.
Like you would be like, oh, I want to look at this picture, and he would turn right, like to the back, right? And you'd be like, oh, and then his little bubble would come up of saying things.
Or if we just like said, what if he was just staying there idle on the screen for a while, and he would just like turn towards the screen and be like, hey, what's
you
up?
tap his foot, right? It's like the Sonic, the idol tapping your foot. Like, come on.
I mean, we have amazing things that we can do, and I appreciate
Yeah.
you letting me explain that. So if this is value to you, hopefully there is, but it helped me because it took me like, I'm not gonna lie, like a day to figure that out. But thanks for all the support and all the different chatter about this, and people have done it a lot better than I did. But this just maybe helps some people that are, you know, struggling on that one.
Yeah.
So check out Double Drop Down. We do a lot of this crap. It's the Hangout with Adam Ryan if you're watching. So shameless plug on that
Shameless
one.
plug at the end of this section.
But anyways, let's get back into it, Ryan, because I feel like you were right. We did a lot today in terms of the show, but that was something that we were talking about as far as just mechanics of the game.
Right.
We sprinted to take this from a game that was more of like a stick figure, essentially, into this sweet Roby. And what you did with Roby has been pretty awesome. So I appreciate that, because once you started transitioning to like walk cycles and we started getting some really in-depth backgrounds, it started to really come alive as a game. And we started to figure out some of those things that we wanted to be able to do. So I think the next step is, what are we going to do with the game? And you spent a lot of time, and I'm really excited to show off some of the sprite sheets and the backgrounds that you created. But I wanted to hear a little bit before, like, give us the walk in to this mural board we're about to talk about.
Well,
in the story, or whatever, where you want to take this.
Yeah, I'm fine. We could do mural board, and then we just switch back and forth from those sprites. Basically what we knew is like we need to create some kind of very small vertical slice of the game so that we can see what's fun, see what's interesting about it. What do we like? What makes it hard? What makes it easy? Like, what could be fun about creating this game? And so the tavern sort of area is like 30 different rooms. But what we decided is we're like, hey, let's narrow it down to like 3 rooms. Let's do a prototype. And let's add in some of the things that we knew that we wanted to be able to practice and make sure that we could do. And then you could scale it out to a larger, full tavern of 30 rooms. And so I was like, okay, great. Adam had laid out this amazing, like all of the tavern in all of these rooms. And I was like, all right, let's grab 3 that are sort of interesting, that have some kind of storyline that we can stitch together. And let's, like, what is the actual meat and potatoes? Like, like rubber hits the road. What are we doing in this game? And so I just sort of little side note, I have to go and take my kids to swim team, like at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 hours long. And I end up doing a lot of stuff. Like I'll walk, I'll do exercise, and I'll play with Weston, and we'll do things, right? But there's sometimes where I'm just sitting here watching boring stuff. And so I would just do a note on my phone and just go through and be like, what would the story be? What, like we have these rooms. What would be interesting? Like a puzzle for them to teach people about this, or like, what are the different elements that we have? And so I sort of did that in a notes app, and then went into our mural board and sort of laid it out as parts that connect with each other into sort of a larger room like this, that came up with what could be the kind of the outline of our prototype, which would go through the tavern's front entrance into the actual bar tavern part of it, and then include the museum as part of it. So it's like 3 rooms, 3 different sizes, and enough happening in each room that we could test things and practice stuff to see if this was fun.
I love this. And so Mural has been amazing for us because if you remember, we kind of started with like, here's some basic rooms, and
right,
we like
the really large, like this is the overarching kind of thought of each level.
Yeah, I love the and then we got ideas where Ryan helped like kind of come up with the concepts, and then we did a lot of storytelling, like what's actionable, what are some like art pieces, and so now we're at the point where we've really mapped out, like you said, this like major world. So Ryan, I'm gonna give this to you because I want you to zoom in. So you see all these boxes on here. This is not the full demo. There's basically 3 or 4 rooms that we're going to be leveraging. You probably could use this mouse.
Oh, okay.
Thing too, if that helps. But
yeah, and so what I wanted to do is tell the story to it's like maybe not the exact story that we would tell for this, but at least enough items of it and enough that we could reuse it, at least certain, background elements or things. So Adam had done in the version that we have now is it does have cutscenes in the sense that you could trigger something and a full screen animation or still shows up. And so I was like, great, maybe we have something like that at the beginning where it's a GIF or something, or a couple things, or a zoom in, or I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I like the idea of it just being sort of the front of the bar. It's like the establishing shot, right? You're like, hey, we're at a bar in, the mountains in the background. It's Skull Bob's. And then the caption of the morning after the funeral, which I was just kind of like, that feels like ambiguous and vague enough that it could be, interesting. At least we need cutscene with captions, right?
Sure.
That was kind of my entrance. Okay. And then I was like, all right, what is going to happen? Roby starts at the, as if he's coming into the front entrance of the bar. And I started to write out a little bit of actual like dialogue from this, and maybe this changes, but I was kind of like, hey, I don't want to be too precious about it for our promo. But like, basically what happens is he's coming in. The wake for his grandfather who owned the bar and did all that was last night. They had it at the tavern. It was his, I'm sure they invited a bunch of people, and that's kind of where Roby is starting out. I had a little bit up here of, where are we starting? Where are we ending? What's the purpose and what's the story of this section?
I love it, Ryan. Good job.
Right? So like, we're starting in the entrance, and then what happens when you leave? You're leaving it and into the tavern. Like, that is, you finish this level necessarily for the beginning. And the purpose is to interact with stuff, push a barrel, use the dash, because part of me went, I don't think we should collect the dash. I think the dash should just be something that the player has, because we're grounding it in somewhat of a realistic scenario of real world actions, right? And we're going to add alien stuff, and we're going to add all of that. But the idea that you would be able to pick up an item and now shoot across the room in a jumping like fashion, that just felt like it sort of broke the story. And I was like, it's better almost if that is just a conceit of our level, right? Of like our design of a game. And so I was like, let's just give it to him straight off the bat. We'll give him other things.
I mean, you could always have it to where like he drinks a beer and he gets a dash for like a minute or something.
I was thinking that same thing, or he does something. We could come up with some bullshit, but I was like, that feels like it's sort of world breaking right at the beginning if we don't get it. Anyway, we could change that. But I was like, basically we want to have them solve a simple puzzle that says, here's kind of what the game is going to be like. It's going to be kind of jumping around a scene and figuring out and talking with things. And if we can do that in the very first entrance, then I think that would be cool.
Sweet.
And so the story is, what are you learning in this entrance way, right? And it's Roby's first day as owner of Skull Bob's, right? The granddad's wake was last night. I always like, Roby is very hungover. I like the idea of him just being hungover as hell and people bringing that up and him commenting on it the entire time. I feel like that seems funny to me. And we also know that the granddad was a famous explorer. He found a weird skull, and he was the owner of the bar, right? And so we're sort of world building at this point, not giving everything away, right? But just sort of, world building. So then what are the points of interaction that we can do? And so I said, there's probably a photo on the wall. There's the lock door that we're trying to get into. And then what does happens when you click on that door, right? Like, so little text on screen of all the stuff that you can interact with in this game. And then I said, okay, what is the critical path from moving out of this room, right? Okay, so the critical path would be you're trying to open the door, so you need the key.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, you jump up on the window ledge and there's a barrel that fills like a gap that then lets you dash across and get a note that was hidden in a bottle of beer that tells you where the spare key is hidden. Right. So like in that sense, you're sort of teaching them how to dash around and move around the thing. You're knowing that there's going to be hints and everything. And so I had that like note it's hidden in the bottle of beer, and the text is remember to check the satchel. And he's like, oh, right, it's in the bag. And then there's a new interaction point. So I think maybe at this point we should show the room so we sort of know what this is even. So I built this room, and one of the big things that I wanted to add to it.
Which one were we going to?
Entranceway. So one thing that I wanted to add to it was I was like, I want this to seem like an important thing, right? Like that this is a fan, or like there's been stuff done about the Grandad. You don't really know at this point. So I thought like a cool statue of like the grandpa like holding up Skull Bob, like I could see something like that being built and being in the front, and that could be sort of like
it's sweet.
So I did this little, like, it was sort of a dolly prompt that I brought into here, and I added a bag because that was like, that wasn't part of the thing, but I wanted to add that. And you could just see the room, this is super simple. I didn't set this up in anything, but I could see a barrel sitting up here. Right. And then you would push the barrel down, and that would give you enough to be like, jump up here and dash and get to the bottle. Like that was sort of my idea, is there would be an interactive barrel here, and that's what you would do. And then you would also click on lots of different things. There's the pictures. You could click on the statue and learn a little bit about it, but to actually get to the puzzle and do things. And I feel like you could make this sort of interesting looking enough that you would be like, I want to get up there anyway, right? Like, how do I get up there and do things?
And so question at this point, it's like, you could almost even have it to where, or let me rephrase that. Would you have a certain number of interactions that have to happen before you could do that action?
Yeah. I don't know. Right. Like so I had a thing where you couldn't click on this bag and get the key out of it, right?
Okay.
Like you couldn't run across,
that's what I'm saying.
Click on the bag and be like, oh, the key's in here, boom, and I'm out of here, right? Because you would just do that.
Yeah.
And so you would click on, the Grandad, you could click on the skull, you're clicking on pictures, you're like, what is happening? And then you're like, oh, right, I can jump up on this little ledge, and I can jump up on here, but I can't jump up on this. And then you're like, oh, maybe I need to like jump up over here. And then maybe there's something over here. And then you get up here and you push the barrel, and then you're over here. And once you get the bottle, then it goes, remember, it's in Granddad's satchel. And you're like, right, that's got to be over here. And now I can click on the satchel and get the key out of it. Right. And so it's sort of like, that's what I want to show off inside of it, is like, that's what you're doing. You're getting things and you're doing stuff. And it's this little puzzle to get out of there.
I love it.
So we have some of that action, teach the player how to dash. Okay. So then, and I also like the idea, Fallout gave me this, is they were like, what they do a lot of is like introduce something at the beginning of the story and then never mention it again for 3 episodes, and then pay it off later on in the thing where you go, right, they mentioned that at the beginning. So I feel like we need some stuff that like sets up things at the beginning. So idea. A simple version of that is I had this barrel, and he goes, oh my God, did someone throw up in this? Like I am definitely not cleaning that up, cause like he's sort of the owner of the bar now and everything. And he'd be like, hey, I'm not cleaning that shit up now. Right. Okay. So you get the key, you go into the tavern. Now the tavern has been a B because it's huge. It has tons of unique, tiles in it. I built it out and it was like, it had 100 more unique tiles that we could have, right? Like it was a third bigger than it could even be. And so I was like, one, we have to pare this down. And two, part of what I was thinking is that like, you would be in the bar and there would be a whole bunch of patrons, right? They'd be drinking beers and they'd be doing stuff and they'd be sitting around. And maybe with your new thing, we could do something a little bit like that. But when I was thinking about like, how do I keep it simple and how do I make it so there's not so much background elements?
Right.
I was like, how cool is it that he's coming in the morning and maybe it's just him and like the bartender and our archaeologist character. Right. And so then you don't have all that stuff. You don't have all those things happening. It's only those three characters and you can get to know them better. And we had a character in the previous version of this, which was his wife or girlfriend who is pregnant named D. Right. And I was like, what if instead of, them being together and pregnant, or maybe she's pregnant, who knows? But what if D was the bartender and was sort of the person who was like, knew Roby for a long time, was just giving him shit, that like now he's rich and he has this huge bar and he has all this stuff, but she knows what he's like and everything. So I thought that would be a fun dynamic.
Yeah.
That we could just have her all the time being sort of the person that's the real life, grounding of Roby for it. Okay. So Roby enters the tavern. This is where the most complex parts of this happen because it's the biggest part. It's sort of our main hub. And so I said, great. What is happening? So the tavern and the museum are linked. I sort of feel like you can go into the museum is the moment that you get into the tavern. Like it's not locked off from you. So you enter the tavern. When you end, you beat the demo, which is opening the Skull Bob's cabinet and finding out that it's not the real skull.
Leaving the cliffhanger.
Exactly.
And you gotta go for
even in the promo, right? Okay, and then what is the purpose of this? It's to interact with objects and learn more about the story. It's to meet our archaeologist character. It's to solve a more complex puzzle, right? And then absorb sort of world building and everything. Probably meet, I didn't have in here, but interact with D and become, sort of learn about their background and history. And then also acquire the cricket bat because I knew we needed to test that. And can we smash things? Can we do stuff?
We got to kill the rats.
We got to kill something like maybe an enemy.
Maybe an
enemy. Like that could be good. Okay, so the story is Roby is now the owner of the bar and the brewing company. I know you had talked about like maybe he doesn't own the brewing part of it or something because why wouldn't he just be able to go into the thing? The only thing that I was thinking is like, when they talk about movies, if you hear about like movie critiques and movie stuff, it's always like, this is the most important or craziest day in this character's life. And that's what we're chronicling for this like movie. They've done a million boring things outside of their life, but we're going to look at the craziest day. And I was like, how crazy would a day would be if you were like, my grandfather, who I barely knew and barely interacted with me, just died, left me this entire bar, and this crazy thing is happening with aliens and all of this stuff. And it's overwhelming because now I own all these things. Like, I love the idea.
I like that idea. No, that's a good point.
Like, I like the idea of him going into this is, you can hear that, Mr. Nervous hands. So like, you let's say you're going into the distillery or that stuff. I like the idea of all the people being like, it's awesome for you, Roby. Like you're like, they know him. You're like, you're the owner now. How sweet is that? And all of this stuff is going on where he can't enjoy that or think about that at all. So like we learn a little bit about, the storyline. We now find out that the skull was a marketing thing, that the grandfather found it up on a mountain, that it's unexplained by science at this point, that he was a recluse, that he didn't,
But this is all like you're finding these little facts.
You're just you're talking with D, you're talking with the archaeologist, you're looking at pictures on the walls and things that.
We gotta look at it, right?
So let's look at the tavern. So this tavern now meets the unique tile qualifications of the thing.
I mean, to be this huge is great because we get to split it into a bunch of other little like pieces, but
I was
Good on
just
you,
like,
man.
yeah, trying to get it to be like, what could it look like to have the maximum amount? So it has exactly 192.
You went
unique
you went
tiles.
down to the 192. Nice.
Did you so and how I did this is we got a sweet like thing from one of our on the Discord that was like you take your image and you drag it into this little program and it will show you how many unique tiles you have. So do we
it's on
have
the desktop?
It's on the desktop.
Here.
Oh, wait, so I could like desktop. So I can open this and it'll tell me.
there it goes.
Oh. So I have exactly 192 unique tiles, right?
All right.
And what's neat about this is it will say, like, you see how it does a heat map?
Yeah.
And what the heat map shows is anytime something has a light pink on top of it, that means you've used it a lot of times. If it has no pink on it, that means you've used it a ton.
Oh, and you can download the tiles.
And you could download all the tiles. It breaks it all up for you, right?
That's awesome.
And then, so you can see like these red tiles, it goes, hey man, you've only used these a couple times. And that's true because I had to remove the other door on the other side because it was flipped, but they were all unique. And you can see that like the Skull Bobs is very unique, right?
Yep.
We don't use that anywhere else. Same with the jukebox here. But there's some parts where you're like, oh man, edge of the bar here is very unique and the top of the bar is very unique. Why are those so unique? Well, because one uses a green background and one uses this background and we don't use the bar anywhere else in this. So they all are unique down here and they're unique over here. So you're kind of like, it just sort of has to be what it is, right? And what is nice about this is you go, see, like, what about this one? And so I was like, well, what if it went behind here? So there was a ladder on front of this pillar or this platform, but I just took it away and made the platform so that it wasn't a unique tile. So that's what I was trying to do. And this program makes it really nice. So
that is super nice. You know, it's when I look at some of that, it's going to be really helpful. Now, in this particular case, I think that's going to work just fine. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this was kind of just, so it doesn't look that different, I don't feel like, from what we did before. Okay. So let me just talk about the main thrust of this because I know we want to like, you know, look at different things and talk about different stuff. So I had, you know, points of interaction in this room, like the arcade cabinets and, you know, the Skull Bob collage board was in here, but now it's in there.
Wait, where is
it's in the museum now because I couldn't have enough unique tiles for it.
So one thing I just wanted to call out because I had an idea on that is that when you go to the collage board, you can go to another scene of the zoomed in version of it. And then you can have like a little fingers like exploring it. Like I think that would be like cool on some of these images.
So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about that because when we get into this larger room where people are in, so like, well, let's do the critical path.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So the critical path through this. So these points of interaction, that's just little stuff that you're using for sort of world building. The critical path is, I like the idea of, let's say you're running around this room, right? Like you don't know what to do. If I click on the archaeologist, which I think of him as sort of drunk, like passed out at the bar, or just sort of sitting there staring at a drink or something like that, he just moans or something if you talk to him, right? Like nothing happens if you talk to him because that's not the storyline yet. You need to. So I would say you go to D and you talk to her, right? And she's like, you know, good morning, boss, right? Like, I like the idea of like, he's now the owner of everything, but he didn't used to be, you know, like he didn't sort of care about any of that. So he's like, you know, haha. And she's like, hey, you know, like, let me borrow some money or something. Now that you're all rich and crazy, like this will be great.
That's a dick move.
Yeah. It's like she's being a dick to him, right? Like she's ribbing him. And, you know, he's
Your
like, oh my God,
just died.
it's like too soon, right? Like too soon, D. Like, you know, and it's not a big deal. It's all going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Who is that guy? And she's like, I don't know, I thought he was with you, right? And he's like, he must have passed out at the wake, like I'll talk to him, like it'll be fine. And she's like, and then I like the idea of him being hungover and also like all just kind of alcoholics, like just the idea this is all a tavern, it's a bar, like, we did this when we were in our late 20s, which is like your big drinking time. And I was like, let's just lean into that. And he's like, you make me a Bloody Mary or something. And she's like, sure thing, boss. Right. And then that triggers that now you can go and talk to the archaeologist. Right. And so I don't have this all written out. Right. But it's sort of like, he would talk to you about the grant, and he's sort of slurring or he's doing something. It's like, it's eking out the story for you. And then maybe he just passes back out.
And so I'm gonna just give a quick advice or insights on this is that if you go to him, he might like mumble something like, "Oh, you climbed that stupid mountain."
Right.
And then like, every time you go back, that's all he says until you went and looked at the picture of like him climbing the mountain. And then you're like, hey, yeah, he climbed that mountain and he got that skull. And he's like, yeah, skull?
Totally. You're like, that's what I feel like it needs to be is like clicking around and doing things. And there could even maybe be those little emoji things that pop up. It depends on how hard we want to make it or if we just want to give it to people, right?
This is a lot. This is great.
It's like,
and I think this is going to be a good test of how much of
like how complicated it needs to be. Like that's what sort of my idea is like, how complex does it need to be? How many interactions is too much where you just get lost of where you are? If I shut off the game right now and come back, am I going to even remember where I'm at or what I was doing? Right? Like it needs to communicate itself in that way. So then I had like, okay, talk to it, learn a little bit about it, go back and get your drink from D. Then like she has your drink. She tells, a little bit more about it, right? Like you're learning a little bit about him. And then I had the main quest for this is like D needs you to help get the bar ready to open up. And you're like, okay, I will just help and do things around the bar because you want to show that you're like, not just some, rich Nepo baby that's here, like getting, all of this stuff that you're like hard salt of the earth and ready to help do this. So I was like, you go find a case of Skull Bob Stout, you get the jukebox playing, you fix the light in the museum, and you clean out the vomit in the barrel in the entranceway. And I love the idea of then like, that's the callback to the original one, right? That you were like, I'm definitely not doing that. And then D is like, you're absolutely doing that. Go clean out that shit. And so I was trying to connect these all together of like, where would you go to do that? Right? You would have to go back to this and back to the barrel. And then that would be a different, like you would have to do this out of like, oh my God, like, and it cuts to black or it does something funny maybe or something like that. Right. And then you're like, check mark. I got that one done.
Or like you have a couple check marks, clean the vomit of the barrel, you clean it out, and then a new check box or like clean up your own vomit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I think that totally, it could all be like fun things like, and you would have to build this out, right? Cause you would say, this is my original lines. And then here's the new lines that happen because I've made it, and triggered this. So it's going to be a lot of like triggering things and doing stuff there. Okay. So I had, let's say you complete all of these, right? And then you go back, like you're talking, it's like you completed all your quest objects and now you're going back to the person that gave you the quest, right? Which is D. And then she gives you the drink, you get to drink, you get the drink for the guy to help him sober up, right? So you're like, all right, I think I got to, I think the archaeologist also needs a drink. So she makes him a drink, right? And then he tells you about the Skull Bob in the case, which you haven't been able to interact with yet. And they're basically saying that like someone is here to steal it or do something. They hints to it. And it's not that one in the case. Maybe you should go look at that one in the case, right? Then you go to open up the case. You realize you need the cricket bat to unlock the case because you don't have the key. It's locked. And so that's how you get the cricket bat. And then the big reveal is the fake skull, end of demo. And you can maybe walk around and hit things now with the cricket bat. Maybe you're back and you're killing rats or you're doing something with it. So that was kind of my idea for, what like this sort of little progression, it feels like it has a lot of things in it, right? To test and try.
It's like, we got to play test and see how long that takes. I think that's
Right.
a perfect amount of demo. So now it's just like, let's firm that up and build that out.
Yeah.
I think we got that. And we got to straight.
And I think we just test it, right? We just test, is that fun? Is that fun to go through? Can you interact with these things? Is that too much interaction?
Got to show the museum.
So I built a little museum which has, you know, the skull in the case and the you know, the picture of him like on the wall and stuff like that, right? And then also the little you know, the interactive
that says
bar.
time.
Yeah.
Does that say time?
Exactly. I was like it was a Time magazine that they had framed or whatever, but then I did a time for me.
Of course you did.
You know, little Easter egg and stuff. But anyway, and then I like that idea of you clicking on this and then it's a larger version of that.
Like this one?
Yeah. So the board, like you were saying. And then, okay, so here's part of what I was thinking with this artwork. So, you know, there's artwork that I'm doing of like doing it myself. Play through. See, you say, man, when do we get to hit something? It's true. Well, it's like, I feel like the thing is with Repugnant is right when you get the weapon, you need to be able to use the weapon. And if you don't have a weapon, that's fine. Like you're learning about the story and doing things, for me at least. But it's like, what Repugnant doesn't do is like, it gives you a weapon and then nothing to do with it. Right. So like now if we give him the cricket bat, we got to let him smash the lock. So, you know, like the cricket bat is what you use to like do environmental killing. And then I like the idea of like coming back into the bar after you've collected this and done this. And D is like, oh my God, there are rats or something like that. And then you have to kill the rats.
But could it be opposite of that?
Maybe.
Like think about it to where maybe you're cleaning, like when you're cleaning the vomit, like rats get out and you get the bat to beat something.
Totally.
And you, but that's what you like, you don't realize that's how you open the case.
Right.
Like I like the idea that you get something and then you don't just get the case and then it's like tertiary. It's
well, in the real game, right, you would get the thing and then there would be a whole, you know, extra part of the level to be going through and doing stuff like that, right? So yes, and having enemies and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Dialogue with the health inspector, come in and take care of the rats. That would be part of the mission.
Nice. I love that.
Get those damn rats out of here before the health inspector comes in.
Okay, so let me get your opinion. I want to get your opinion on something around the art of this.
Okay.
So there are almost like two different styles of art in this scene right now, and also kind of in the entranceway. And what I wanted to do is like get your opinion on if I go to this museum, this board was not created by AI. Like this was created by myself. And I basically went in and sort of drew these things. And how I would say this looks in terms of AI art is clean, right? It's really trying to show multiple things and they're very symmetrical, right? Like this one is the same as this one and it's symmetrical and laid out and they're sort of solid colors and everything sort of feels purposeful. Okay. When you do an AI version of something, it is not, it's like messier, right? Because you're taking a big image and you're compressing it down into something. And so in this sense, like even the frame, right? Like has sort of, it's like a little bit darker here, right? And then lighter and then built this out. And like, he's kind of here, but there's parts of it that is messy, right? Same thing with this table. As opposed to this stool, like stool handcrafted, table AI crafted. And you can just see that like one is very symmetrical and one is like a little bit off because it's an image that it's trying to do. Now, part of me says those two things look weird next to each other in the world. And I would say that it's most highlighted with this AI statue next to this non-AI looking door. And like what it does to me is it says, this almost looks sort of different, like almost a different art style than this is, right? But the problem is like same thing with these mountains, AI, right? And messy. Barrel, not AI and created and clean. And I want to use AI for some of this because like it would be hard for me to draw a statue of an explorer holding a cyclops skull, like us trying to build those, that's going to take me all night to build.
Yeah, right.
Whereas an AI could do this and I could shrink it down. And then like the skull wasn't a cyclops. So I changed it to a cyclops and the skull didn't have the bag or the statue didn't have the bag. So I had to add the bag. So I'm still like going in and tweaking things and doing this, but then it would be really hard to clean this up in a way that makes it look like these hand done ones. And so my idea is either do I messy up these versions to where I'm like, maybe it's not a perfectly done like slice of green for this door. Maybe it has little like, like is there just messiness of the door? Right? And that's bad. But like, you see what I'm saying, right? It would make it sort of messier and sort of that. And then it might look like it sort of goes with this version. And then I feel like it would have more of a cohesive thing. Or do we try to very much limit how much we're doing of these sort of AI and really try to clean them up so that it goes with this? Or do we just say we don't give a shit and we're just like, whatever, some things look like they're very clean and some things look like they're messy and some things are backgrounds and some things are foregrounds that look very clean. I wanted your opinion on that as I went through.
So, I mean, I saw the chat. I'm just going to acknowledge that. Like, the shadows do look kind of the juxtaposition against the other pieces. So there's something about the classic Game Boy look that is clean that I think we do appreciate. And also, I feel like it's going to be difficult to, like, messy things up in a way that's going to look good. Like I think you're gonna have the same exact problem of trying to make something new. So I'm thinking the process, but maybe I should answer the question on the look. Is that like it definitely seems like I see the difference there.
Yeah,
for sure. It wasn't as jarring to me until you pointed it out, though. Like as somebody showing up, I was like, sweet, a statue and some backgrounds in there. Like I was sold enough.
Sure.
But there is something where I would almost simplify the statues than messy up the other things.
Okay.
Like I would think the mountains in the background though, like maybe you make some sort of a thing of like anytime it's a background or through a window, like it can be different like that. But if it's in the scene like a statue, you keep that part consistent.
And so the other thing that I was thinking is like sometimes, when there's like an interactive piece, it will somehow slightly look different than the rest of the background, like in games, you could tell the Zelda wall that you need to bomb because it looks slightly different than the rest of the wall that is there. And I was like, it could be okay if like he was sort of, and you knew that you were going to kind of interact with this at that point, right? The same thing as the tavern. Like this is unique enough that you're like, I probably interact with that. Whereas I'm not going to interact with every stool that's here. And so like unique things do sometimes have a different style. I do think it's going to be hard. Like I couldn't imagine trying to take this and cleaning it up so much that it looked like Roby. Because I wish we could turn on Roby here. But like if you look at Roby,
he's right over there. He's he's in the.
So like if you look at Roby and how like sort of clean he's very.
Yeah.
His like arms are very defined from his body, right? He is outlined. There's a section here where like the shirt ends, whereas the statue is like messy in that sense. There's no real, but it looks cool, right? It looks like detailed in a way.
Okay, I think I have an idea here. This might answer it in a way. Is I like the idea that maybe you simplified the statue like it's more of just a silhouette or something. But then when you click on it or you go to interact with it, that's where it cuts to the scene, and then it's like that version of it.
Yeah.
So anytime you like get in, you get the cool detail version. Anytime you,
the hard thing about that is now you have to make 2 versions of everything. Like,
well,
and
that's
make
what I'm
2
saying. Like,
versions
but
look
wouldn't
cool.
the simplification of it be more? And I don't know. We'd have to play with it a little bit. Like enough that you're like, okay, that looks like a dude holding something.
Yeah.
Enough that it's like simple. I don't know what AI are you using? Some Pixelfy? Or?
I basically stopped using Pixelfy. I basically just do like I try to get AI or Game Boy looking sprites out of ChatGPT, and then I crop them and do some small changes inside of Photoshop, and then I bring it into ASprite and just sort of let ASprite change it to the right colors and as I size it down, it will stay within those pixels.
Right.
So I kind of just do that, and then I clean it up, right? And I go, like I can't really tell where his leg ends, so I'm gonna make it, and I want him to have a big boot here, and it didn't have a boot there, and so I added one,
right?
And stuff like that. So maybe that's a thing to think about. One other thing is I thought this could be cool if this was a parallax scrolling mountains in the background. So as you walked by, the mountains would slowly move so they weren't just static on the screen. That could be something like maybe that's a stretch goal for the prototype is like, how would that work?
Like, I think that's what we want to do is like have a couple things like, can we even pull this off?
Yeah, exactly. And then if it's like, oh, we can, and it's easy and it looks amazing, then like we lean into that harder. Right?
I would say that as of right this second, the amount of variable switching and things that we're going to have to do, even with the layout that you have on the mural board, like we are going to have to document the crap out of this.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to say this thing has this many variables. And now I'm thinking about it. Like I got to see how many variables we can actually use and trigger.
Yeah.
I think it's like 500 if I'm not mistaken.
But you use those up, right?
But we use them up, and there's all kinds of things that we have to consider with that. Yeah. So we're going to have to just be really seeing how much we're going to be pushing things. If we're like, if we run this, how much, okay, kind of think about it like this, is that if you go to this sign, variable ticks up. And once that variable ticks up, how many of those do you have to collect before this thing triggers?
Right.
Like, let's say you collect the 4 tasks that you need to do, and maybe it's 3 to 4 of those tasks.
Yep.
And then, later in the game, if you had done the 4, this other thing happens. But if you only did 3, this other thing happens. Like,
yeah.
So then you have to start balancing all these like crazy scenarios that you might be able to do.
Here was another thing that I was thinking when I went into the mural board, which was, say, you have like a sort of a menu.
Right.
And I was like, great, we'll have 4 things that you need to collect. Like that's what Adam had, which triggers something else happening. But then like part of me says like, we're almost building like an adventure game.
Yeah.
But
adventure platformer.
But we're not, what I haven't heard you talk about is the idea of like having your menu and being like, I'm selecting the shovel. And now I'm using the shovel on the painting. Mm-hmm. And it says, why are you trying to hit Grandpa's painting with the shovel? Don't do that. And it just says that every time you try. Oh, I'm going to use the pencil on the painting. Oh, no. Drawing on Grandpa's painting? No, I shouldn't do that. Now I'm using the key on the painting. Oh, and something happens, right? So like, to me, it hasn't seemed like so far we're like swapping items and using them on stuff, right? It seems more like you're collecting a bunch until it triggers something else, and then we're moving on from those things. It's like you're doing it in a confined space, and then so let's say we do that, like which sort of seems like it could be the simple version of that. I need those items to sort of disappear, right? And be replaced by other items that haven't been used yet. So like, say you had a big menu that had 16 slots, right? I'd be like, oh, I got the case of Skull Bob Stout, right? I got the coin for the jukebox for it to play, right? Or the screwdriver or whatever. I got the light bulb for the museum and like plug that in and it check marked it. And then once that's done and I've gone to talk to D, it almost needs to like remove itself from the entire thing and fill up with new things. But like, say I found a random coin,
Right.
and it doesn't like, hey, I got the jukebox working, but the coin doesn't like, it won't fit into this or something. So now I just have the coin. And then later on, 2 levels away, it goes, oh my God, there's a slot here for a coin. Like I do have that one. And then it works.
I think you can collect a crap load of things and maybe you just have some pages or like tabs, or it's like so there's both ways. You can collect everything, or you can have it like anytime you come into a room, the inventory for that room is different based on what you have, or a section of rooms.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the when you switch between a stage or something, it's like in this particular stage, this is all what you have in your cache or your cache, and then you go into your other one.
And I can almost see that working in the sense that that's kind of how Home Alone was, right? Is like you're not really collecting things, it's sort of going into your inventory and then you're dropping it off. And I could see that being okay for this. It's almost like you're doing the tavern level, and then you're graduating from the tavern level into where all the different stuff and all the little puzzles that you're going to solve stay in the tavern level. And then you got your bat and you're going into the distillery level, right? And you sort of go into the distillery level and maybe your menu looks different, right? And it's like, oh, you left all your stuff in the other thing except for your weapons, and you bring that in with you. And then it's a whole new inventory.
And I think they could be different. Like you said, as weapons. Now, one of the things that I think could be cool is that I wish I could like grow that. I don't know why that doesn't work. Is that so I like, there's a couple ways that we could deal with the menu. Is like, what if what you're collecting isn't just little slots, because they don't have to be. And what if like you're creating like an image, or so I was thinking if you were collecting the paper, like it looks like a little paper, but when you collect it, like it fills in a piece of a message that the grandfather is. So it like kicks over the thing, and it's like you can't see all the pieces. Or
like it could look like the backpack, right, or something, because you got let's say you grabbed his grandfather's backpack off the thing, and then that was your inventory, and it was in there, and I could see like it being laid out, and now like you got a new little piece of the note, and it's like creating the note. And you're getting all the pieces, and then once it's created, then you can click on the note and you can read what the note is, or something like that.
You're hitting on exactly what I was thinking.
But you're not. So what you're not thinking, though, or I'm sure Adam will do another week of work and be like, "Oh yeah, we're totally doing this whole thing." Like now we have all these capabilities. But what you're not thinking, I don't think, is let me rub every item that I have on the other item, which is very adventure game style, right?
I was saying I just haven't got to that, but let me try it. Let me see, because I think you could go like, let's say you collected something and I went up to this and I hit up. You can say, you climb the thing and, Mount Papari, like, hey, you have an item that do you want to use it here? Like,
right. It could be like use, like, so this is like the Maniac Mansion thing.
Yeah.
Like use key on painting, right? Like, and I don't think, because that's where I feel like you can start getting into way more complexity than we want to do, right? So even if we could get items out of the our inventory, and then do the inventory and rub every item on every other thing inside of there, maybe you wouldn't want to do that. Like maybe it would be too complicated for what we're trying to do.
You could have certain items that are usable items, and then there's collectible items, and there's other types of items.
Or
so like it doesn't have to be everyone is usable.
Well, I do think that, like, say there's a key, and say the key opens like a frame, or something. If you go and click on the frame, it would be like, do you want to use your key? And you'd be like, yes, use the key. And then it could open it, right? Like, so it would be context sensitive. Like, it wouldn't be like, do you want to use the shovel? Do you want to use the beer that you collected?
Right.
Do you want to use
all
the
of
thing? Like, I don't want to do any of that. I want to be like, if I collected the key, allow me to use the key on here, right? If I collected the coin and the coin goes in here, allow me to use the coin in it. And then make sure the coin goes away from my inventory when it's done and can get filled up by another slot in my backpack that is now open.
I'm having a hard time figuring out how I would fill up, the different slots. But yeah, that could definitely happen.
Like maybe they're empty, but it gets switched out every sort of larger level. I don't know. So I will let you figure that stuff out.
No, I love the idea. And one of the things that you brought up is inventory. So I wanted to show you something. So some of the little things, I forgot to show you this. I was working on this. Did I show you this?
Oh, yeah. I saw a little bit of this.
So it's like, it has this little like bump. So I was like, how is a sweet way to make a menu so that it wouldn't be like you're having to hit all these different buttons to get there. And so I could have it to where like you select it and it just goes there, or like you can kind of select one way and then you actually have to hit something to go to it. So my thought was like load out, and I gotta this hilariously, this screen almost has 192 pixels. And I'll show you why in just a second.
Damn.
But like it's
because it has every weapon thing and every map.
Because
and
every like piece of text is a unique kind of thing through it. And so I just thought it was hilarious. I was like, how does this possibly even have that many different things? Because there's not a lot of reusable stuff. But I just like the idea. Like there's a little bounce to it. I was trying to be like how haptic with it, but you go in here, and this is our menu. And so this was an example of, you hit on a question mark, and this was the original idea of like, it can give you hints of all the things.
Yeah.
Or if all of this were really close together, everything you put together, like creates grandpa's board of stuff or, some other, like, not just collectibles, but there's like something a little different about how this screen comes together.
Yeah, I could see, again, like let's say you had it and it was like your folded out, it looked like your folded out bag or whatever, right? And you're like, oh, I'm adding these little pieces of torn paper to a thing, and maybe you can't read it when it's in there. It just looks like scribbles. Once you get the last one, then you click on it, and now I can read the whole thing, and it says, oh my God,
I was thinking like
secret.
You're a bartender and you have your little like pad that you bring out and you scroll your little things on there. I mean, there's so many little like ways that you can make that happen. But I just, this was my one example of like giving hints, and also this is like that secondary, because once you get the key, it says buy a barrel.
Yeah.
And then so if you back out of this, it's kind of by that barrel right
here. Yeah, nice.
And I think in this particular case, I made it so you can jump and get it. Okay. Oh, this is going to be... Oops. Oh, crap.
Oh, God.
Hold on. Oh, yeah. You're going to hate this one because...
You time it out each time?
Oh, I almost had it. No, actually, what I did was I changed it so that you don't have to use that. And it's weird because it's so close to the edge. That's why that one's hard. So there's some weird thing where when it's close to the edge, it won't necessarily work. God, I keep hitting the wrong button here. But
I like the idea. So that even reminds me, like, see where he's pushing the barrel? It should be like when you go up against the barrel, it triggers the animation of like,
yeah,
100%. And then he's pushing the barrel, and then he goes back, right? Like afterwards.
There's a way that you can actually make that jump, and I don't know. Get out of here, you little ghost!
Get out!
I don't have my. I keep hitting that because I keep thinking that on my other screen that's how you swap weapons.
Okay.
And I did not. I was making like screens of here's the inventory, here's this. Okay, so he's got his key. So now if you go into this inventory and you look at what you got your key. Nice. Remember it said buy barrel before?
Yeah.
It says the key of entry.
Nice. I love that. But so...
How
many lines of dialogue can we get?
Like probably as much as we want. That part shouldn't be a problem.
And I guess it
would
two
just per thing, unless we do some like updated thing, and then but it can keep going. You'll just be paging and paging and paging.
Okay, and then so like you would get 2 dialogue, and then you would go next.
Yeah, let's actually do a test on that, because that's where we're at, and we have like 10 more minutes.
I know, right? And we should do some action items for next time, what we want to try to accomplish.
But in this case, you get the key now. He opens the door, and you're out. And so just to beat the game. But I wanted to
just to beat it.
You got to do it a bazillion times. But as far as the dialogue's concerned, so like let's look at this one, because I think this is helpful. We need to have you in this more, so you know how this works. So this trigger, when I click on it, it will say like, there's a couple things. If the variable, and I think I said this before, is 1, it says you turn over the picture. Otherwise, every other time it says this. Or actually, let's see here. It's down here. Every other time it says, until you've collected something.
Yeah.
It says Robert Decker climbed the peak of Mount Pomari, but this is how you can do it. You just hit this little plus sign over to the side, and you can say, right. Oh wait, crap. I think I oh, there it goes. Ryan sucks.
Perfect.
Oh man. Oh,
this is very delayed.
It is. I noticed that with GB Studio. It must be taking up a lot of like memory or something like that. But you don't suck, Ryan. But just to show you how that would work.
And can I fast forward through? Like, does button pressing, you know how in Mega Man they do it where it's like, does it spell it out like, for you? Does it go like, and sort of does it? No, it just like pops onto the screen, right?
Yeah, you should just be able to like spam the key. So if I'm running over here, I should probably just do a big full screen. And I hit up on it. So I can just keep hitting it.
Okay.
And it goes.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like knowing sort of. That's why I feel like this will be a good test. Like, is having 10 dialogue boxes back and forth too much? Like, does it take too long? Is it boring? Like, I feel like that's where a lot of these like things will be.
Yes, that's a good question. But before we get into some of the answer, like it could be boring. But one thing I wanted to show you is if I go into settings here. And this is something I was going to ask you to do, is that like come up with a sweet dialogue box. This is what the frame is of the dialogue. See how it has that little edge? It's going to be like a little tiny mini thing in here if I do this. But I'd have to open it in the other platform. But what I guess I'm saying is like we can make our dialogue box whatever we want. It could be like looking all awesome. Right. And then there's some other, and this is the cursor. So if you went into the screen where you're like looking at the thing, you can make our own cursor with it. There's all these other little like elements that we need to work on.
Yeah.
And you really need to nail this like coloring down, because that other guy that was doing all the different animations, like a lot of people get the coloring down first. That way when they're making all the scenes, they're using the colors and they jump back in here and start running it, on the colors.
Well, definitely like I'll be doing, experiments with the colors and things like that. And I imagine this like my tile set that I have that I use to build all of this is like in shambles. They're just all over the place. I need a new piece to like try, and I just make it in whatever tile set and then use it, and like it's chaos. So like but what I didn't want to do is be like, oh, let's say I'll just spend a whole evening doing this. Like that would be a whole evening of me not making one of those levels, right? So I was like, who cares what this is for this prototype? Like once we get this and it's actually fun and we actually feel like it's something, then I'll go back in and be like, okay, now we can rebuild it, and then I'll have done a bunch of tests with all the colors and everything. So then when it gets rebuilt, it can be rebuilt with that like in.
I spent a copious amount of time rebuilding this whole set. Like this version, the demo version, is a complete rebuild of the prototype stuff we did before that, because I was like, I need to take out all the extraneous code. I have to organize myself or I'm going to get my ass lost through all of this. So I think we got to get to the point now where we shore up the demo to where it doesn't have any extras in it, and we're just like nailing into what it should look like.
So what would you say? So in the last 5 minutes here, like what do you want to try to do between now and the next show?
I want to beat the repugnant. Oh, all right. What is that called again?
What was it? The
Repugnant Bounty.
Repugnant Bounty.
Beat that damn game.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. By next time, I'm gonna implement your scenes in there. I think I want to swap those scenes.
Yeah.
And then
I think you should try to be building whatever this first version of this is, where things trigger and you could jump on these new stuff and how that works. And then what would be helpful? Do you want me to just like work on coloring and work on building like more sprites for things?
You're like, Adam, build the entire awesome game.
Well,
and then
because that's what I was saying. Like, I don't know how much I can help with any of that. Like, especially collaboratively on that part of it, because it does seem like GB Studio is more like, hey, you're doing it on your own thing, and you're not exactly like sharing a file.
We need to get GitLab, and need
a GitHub repository.
Put some commits in there. We can do some of that stuff, because if we had the whole platform in there, you could be working on like the PNG file, and then when you hit update, it could like update what we're doing there.
Well, and I would be fine too, like if you want to give me one of the levels and be like, I don't know if like I could set up the museum and be like, here's where the triggers are, here's where you would jump to it, and if I could just give that back to you then, and then you incorporate it into the larger set. I don't know if it works like that.
It's regardless, what we're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to do all the painting in here. Okay, so here's what we'll do next time is you start to look at the painting, because you got some good areas done. Maybe see if there's anything you could do to tone back some of the AI sprite stuff.
Yeah.
But what I think would be a really cool piece of this is if the little board you made, like make a zoom in of what that board would look like.
Okay.
So I think everything you have is perfect. Zoom in of that board.
Yeah.
Now, are you feeling that those tavern, the museum, that's like a print? Like, are you good with how those came out, minus the like scaling back on some of the parts of that?
The problem is I don't know how it plays at all, right? So like part of this is that there's got to be a barrel up at the top that gets pushed off.
Yeah,
to make it the thing that you could be able to, but I don't know if like, is it too far apart? Does it even work like that? Can you get up there without pushing the barrel? Because we don't want that.
Well, one of the other things too is that there's no physics in this game.
So like, what are you doing with the barrel when you push a barrel?
There is certain amount of physics, and so it's pretend physics.
Okay.
And so you have to like have things like, if you go off this edge or if it hits in this area, you should make it look like it goes down.
Or
so
just
there's ways to
just
do
like
it.
flip the tile so that now it's not here, it's down here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't probably use that method, but yeah, similar. Yeah, you get the
Something.
idea behind where we would take that.
So again, like this might be a good test to be like, hey, that is super hard, and I don't want to, like, that's too hard, right? So let's not make puzzles that do things like that.
Well, and I think you're right on where it is. Now, if you think about
Scrabble puzzle. Nice. Thanks, Moby.
No, he's about to roll up
Pretend
in here. You guys say pretend physics. No, what I was gonna say is, like, if you look at this guy here, like, it's very evident, but like, how much effort do we want to set up to do one jump? Those are the things that, like, I would just say,
right. Well,
that you want to be careful of,
because I guess in that sense, are there platforming elements that are puzzles, right? Where you have to do something and push a thing and do that. Like, is that, because that is, right? It's all pushing things and doing stuff, and you'll be able to make one jump to be able to get something that gets you out of that room, right? So do we care about that? Like, is that interesting or useful or fun enough? Or is it just, because almost what I was thinking is like, is it going to be too boring where you just like, okay, I just go and hit up on every single thing in this room, right? Until it tells me that I need to get out of here. And then you're like, great, next room. Up, 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 up. And then like, if there's nothing that just like keeps you doing that, I feel like it needs something. And I don't know what that is. That could be killing enemies at some point.
I
think
think
that's what it could be, in later parts or in this part if you want to do rats.
Okay, here's my take on this is I think the puzzle part isn't just like finding a jump at this part, maybe it's that you go do something 3 rooms back, and then like it makes a ledge that comes out. Maybe you run through this room initially and you're like, there is something up there. I don't even know how to get it. I can't push anything. I can't get it. Fine. I'm leaving this level. And then you go somewhere else, you do something, and that's what triggers like the barrel to come out or something to fall over.
Like once you have the cricket bat, maybe you could smash something that then allows you to get to an area, right? So like you're getting things and you're doing stuff. In this initial room, I just wanted to be able to be like, no, you're stuck in here. Figure out this little puzzle so that you can know how the puzzles are going to work for the later rooms before you get into a whole like thing of it. So that's what I was doing for the prototype, but that doesn't mean that how it has to be for the real game.
Here's okay. So we're going to have our bullet points here is I'm going to try to build all the levels with some sort of a version of what you helped build out. And so I'll see how far I can take this and get those pieces together. What you'll work on is coloring. And then I think what I would like to do based off this conversation is let's really create like an area where we might have an AI. So like a rat. So like get like an idea of like a little tiny something that we'd have to chase out or hit with the cricket bat.
Yeah.
And then I really want to try this from like a platformer. Is there a platformer, like a more platformer heavy puzzle? So these are like puzzles that have a platformer piece.
Right.
Think about, instead of the horizontal, can you make like a really high, long
something
like vertical level?
Right.
Like, and I'm imagining maybe you're going up and there's like all these beer steins and you have to like jump here and you jump there. And if you miss this one, you fall to the bottom and you have to try it.
Or there's a rat on one of them and you have to wait until the rat like goes to this side and then you jump on it and then you jump back.
Because I'd like to see like, that could be the good verticals between floors of the brewery or something like that.
I did like the idea of the brewery, the brewing part being more vertical and this being more horizontal, but for a test or for, even just one part of it, I think that's totally good. I would also like in between, I want to animate one's like swing of the bat.
You go. So do that. Animate the swing.
Yeah.
And a rat, and then if you have time, do something a vertical level so we can get some platforming. I want to get some platforming in.
Right, and see, because what I think is what we're looking at right now is like, what is fun of these things that we're thinking we want to build, right? And so if the platforming seems more fun, then we're going to be like, okay, these levels have to be a lot bigger and a lot less dense.
Yeah, and a lot less story stuff. I've played a lot of Game Boy games, and it depends on your mood. Like if you're seeing this as a platformer and you have all these things, you're like, just stop. I want to go jump around and beat things.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of, we're trying to tell a story in here, but is it and not fun, right? To have all of these interactive, that's what I feel like we're trying, right? Well, it's like, where is our 30 seconds of fun?
Here's my north on this.
Yeah.
I'm going to make something I want to play.
Sure.
This is about Hangout. And so if y'all like it and you contribute to it, great. That's what should be where it is. But we're not trying to market this, so to speak.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell our story. Yeah. And I think I want to like keep that as our north if we can for a bit. Not to be self-serving, but because then that just gives you the
I want to play a game that is fun, right?
Yeah. So there you go.
So I want to play a game that's fun, and 100%. I feel like, and so, but I don't know what's fun about our game yet. So we got to try some things, and then be like, well, we could tweak it, and then it could be fun, or we're just like, no, we got to build these levels differently, and I don't want to build 1 million levels until we figure that out.
Sweet. Hey, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
A great evening.
Totally. Tons of people in the chat. It was amazing. We had Bobby, we had Kylea, Mike Azul, of course.
Thank you.
Stealth Mouse was in there. It was great.
And it was funny. Repugnant Bounty. Thank you from China.
Thank you, China.
Keep on that Discord because that's the fun part. There's so many new things that are coming out lately. I know that Mike Azul has been working on his next computer. So if you're in the Discord, you get to see the history of Next, which has been pretty awesome. I think that's been something I've been excited to watch.
Totally.
And we're going to post this guy and see if anybody takes one to look. And so if this is the first time watching and you actually got this far after that tutorial, good on you.
Good on you.
Good on you. Game Boy, y'all. So, all right. We'll see you next time. This is Adam and Ryan signing off. Hangout.
See you next Hangout.
Have a good one. Peace out.